Tell me a bit more about the party life there. You mentioned that street.
Yeah.
How is it to party in Hong Kong?
I think if you go with friends, it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
If you go alone and if you enjoy techno, um, you might like it. People are friendly normally, but you have to be very careful. At least I was very careful with I never went there with anything very valuable. Never bring your passport there. I did not. Sometimes if you want to go into the club, they ask for a driving license or for ID from a European country. They sometimes let you in, sometimes not. So you have to be a little bit lucky and negotiate a little bit. But they want to see the year, the date of birth. And then they would let you in, but don't bring anything valuable, because if you drink and if you don't drink there, then it's a little bit strange. It's not like that you don't have a good experience. I didn't always drink and I had nice experiences, but when you drink, you kind of feel included. It's a little bit of peer pressure there, and sometimes you have to give in to
Yeah.
the peer pressure. But I think if you go with friends and if you try to explore, so not go to all the popular places, but also try to find some kind of indie places, small bars, small clubs where they have nice music, then you can really enjoy it. It's really enjoyable.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast Across the Globe. Today, I'm more than happy to welcome my next guest, Kaloyan, who has prepared some very interesting stories about his minor, which took place in Hong Kong, China, and his internship, which happened in Germany, Munich. Hello, Kaloyan. How are you today?
Hi, thank you. I'm great.
We are going to start with the minor, which took place in, as I already mentioned, Hong Kong.
Yeah.
My first question about you is, how did you decide to go to Hong Kong?
Yeah. So Hong Kong was at the end of the day, it was a simple decision, but I went through a lot of thinking. And initially, I wanted to go as far away as I could, because I was just I had seen a lot of European countries. I've been a lot around them, and I've lived already for 2 years in the Netherlands. So I wanted to go some other place which is busy with people. Um, and I had heard some nice stories for Mexico and also for East Asia. They also happen to be the farthest away points on the world map as we know it in Europe. So I put myself where I was in the center of the map, Netherlands. Then I was like, okay, which is the farthest place I can go to? And maybe there's some other places which are a little bit farther, but Mexico and Hong Kong were far away enough for me to
Yeah.
consider them. Yeah, and then I read some experience reports. They also sounded nice. I had studied a little bit of Spanish, so Mexico had a little bit of boost there. However, Ioana Grosso um, shared her experiences from Hong Kong. Actually, we went to the same university,
Oh, nice.
and she told me how nice it was and what an unforgettable time she had. So I thought, okay, I want to have some similar stories like that. And if there was nice and it's far away and it's a culture totally different than mine, I should go there. And I applied for 2 universities in Hong Kong. I got my first choice, Lingnan University. And I had a third choice, Mexico, but I didn't even get to there.
So you wanted to go to the farthest place possible, and that's what you did.
Exactly.
Perfect. How did you prepare for the whole China experience?
So first of all, the university, of course, there are a lot of preparation documents, which Fontis, first of all, guides us through, which are a little bit boring. So I don't want to waste time in discussing those. I think every student will be guided through those very extensively. However, the Lingnan University prepared us by assigning a buddy, something like the student buddy that Fontis offers to first-year students. They offer to minor students. So my buddy got in touch with me, and she was like, this is the weather in Hong Kong. However, in the winter it might get a little bit cold, so bring a long sleeve or something like that. She also gave me some other recommendations or just some general information. What is the atmosphere in Hong Kong? Which was actually very nice because that prepared me for an environment where people were open. So an environment where I was feeling welcomed already before going there. Just because there was a student who was knowing me and she was going to greet me at the airport, which by the way didn't happen. But I still felt welcomed. What's more, I also started reading a little bit of history because I chose Hong Kong because it was a very different culture and as I said, far away, but very different culture. And I chose Hong Kong because I wanted to have still a little bit of European touch. That was in case I didn't fit with the new culture, that I still have some backbone because Hong Kong used to be British colony,
Mm-hmm.
and that fit nice. That fit nicely um, because I wanted to read a little bit of the history. So how did it happen that the British Empire went to China and well privatized Hong Kong? So that was one of the biggest things I started preparing, and I think it really paid off because when I arrived, this was one of the topics that I felt very educated about, and we were discussing with other exchange students and people from Hong Kong.
So you had a head start.
I had a little bit of a start.
Yeah.
I also studied a little bit of Cantonese before that, so I knew the numbers
Mm-hmm.
before I went there, and also how to say hi
Which is
and nei ho.
good.
And if you want to say to plural
Mm-hmm.
hi, it's nei de ho.
Also, they have plural for hi, like
Yes,
hi's.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
Like some European languages have, for example, Bulgarian, I know it has
Yeah.
zdravei, zdravejte. The same goes in Chinese. However, the difference is that in Cantonese, nei ho is 2 characters and nei de ho is 3 characters. So you simply add another character,
Mm-hmm.
which signifies the plural form
Okay.
of the word you're saying.
Yeah, I know they have a different bit understanding for the language, but we're going to discuss that a bit later. You said that you went there because you knew people would be open and you would experience a different culture. Do you remember, besides those, what other expectations did you have before going there?
One of the things that I was prepared for was to find uh, bad air quality because China in the times when I was considering going there and in the environment that I grew up was considered to have very bad quality
Mm-hmm.
air quality, and I was expecting to find an enormous city which basically didn't have nice air. I was totally wrong. Totally wrong. Hong Kong is not an enormous city, although the city of Hong Kong is enormous. Hong Kong is not just a city. 70% is land and mountains, and it's so much more beautiful than the city itself. And the city is stunning. So the land, and we're going to see it in the pictures I've sent you.
Yeah.
Is just stunning. I fell in love with it. It's not high mountains because we're very close to the sea, but the mountains they have feel very high, just because you start from zero. So when you
Yeah.
start from the sea level, and you go 1,500 meters, it feels a lot. It feels a lot.
I'm really curious to see the pictures already, but we'll save them for later. You arrive in Hong Kong. That's like really, really big city. It's a metropolis. What are your first expectations of the city?
I did not know what to expect besides the tall buildings, and I could not imagine the tall buildings really because I hadn't seen anything like the size of these buildings. I went to Montreal before in my life, and then they have some high buildings. However, I didn't really relate it to that.
Mm-hmm.
Although now after being in Hong Kong, I see some similarities because I'm walking in both cities. I was walking in the center, and I felt just very small. So it's a big building that's like a giant around me, and I did not know what to expect in that regard before going there. Yeah,
And when did you arrive there actually?
mid of August. I don't remember the exact date. Early in the morning. I arrived around 5 a.m.
So you arrived early in the morning and then you have to go to your accommodation. Were you staying actually in accommodation or did you rent by yourself?
So no, the accommodation was provided by the university.
Mm-hmm.
I was staying on campus.
Okay.
We had campus dorms, which were the campus is pretty big. I have to say it's a few times the size of Fontis, at least Fontis Venlo. And the dorms were on the campus with all the lecture buildings.
Nice. And you told me you arrived early in the city. Then how did you go from the airport to the accommodations?
I was supposed to be picked up by the university. They organized a bus because Hong Kong, although we refer to it as a city, it's not simply a city. As I said, 70% land. And from one place to another place, it could take as much as 40-hour drive, a 40-minute drive. So they organized buses to pick us up. However, the bus was coming at 10:30 or 11. So I had 5 hours, 6 hours. And in the beginning, I tried to sit on a bench and just take a nap, sleep the 4 hours because I barely slept. I was very excited on the plane. Nope, that didn't work out because when I was there, I was even more excited. And although I was very tired, I just left my luggage at the locker. They had big luggage lockers in just at the airport. And then I simply went into the city with the MTR. That's their metro underground service.
So you alone against the city.
And it was amazing. It was in August where when the air is only breathable in the mornings or late evenings. So everything during the day is not easy to breathe, very humid, I'm referring to. So in the morning when I went there, it was still okay to walk around the city and breathe and see. And I went out at the station, which had nice view of the Victoria Harbour, which is the most famous place in Hong Kong. The pictures with the two sides of Hong Kong and the water in between. This is the Victoria Harbour. It is indeed beautiful during the day and also during the night. So I got to see that first. That was the first thing I saw from the city. And I'm very glad I did it. It was like an eye-opener. Like, oh my God, these buildings are enormous. I really understood what they mean with skyscrapers. It's not just one. It's many.
So those are your first impressions of the city?
Beautiful, yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
But very hard to breathe.
At least you got some of the fresh air in the morning. So
a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Tell me more about the accommodation. You told me it's near the university, but what else about it?
So in Lingnan, and I think this is the case for most Hong Kong universities, the dorm is shared. So I don't sleep alone in a room. I sleep with a roommate. We basically have 2 beds next to each other. And it's like when we were little kids and you have a brother and your brother is just sleeping next to you. Kind of that was what I could relate this experience to. Very small rooms. So my room at home is probably bigger than the room I had in Hong Kong for 2 people. But it was so smartly organized that I started enjoying it. In the beginning, I was like, "Oh, how am I going to fit there?"
Yeah,
I'm tall and I like having space. And this small room for 2 people, But they had very smartly organized it with they're using all of the space except above the bed. So when you have um, the study desk, above it you have some shelves where you can put a lot of things, because these shelves are quite big, and I think 3 rows of shelves.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have also the wall separating the desk from the bed um, can go down and become a bigger desk,
Oh, nice.
and goes down on top of the bed.
Yeah, very
It doesn't touch
practical.
the bed, but it just extends a little bit. So if I needed more space, it was also easy to get more space.
That's good that they think about you having where to put.
Very efficient, extremely efficient. And we also had AC in that small room, which was, and we also had one of the walls was windows, only windows.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a lot of light coming in, and just above the windows there was a nice AC and a fan, because it's very, very hot.
So from what I get, the accommodation was good.
It was good, yes. But in the beginning, it feels strange.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel bad in the beginning, but it felt strange.
But you get used to it.
I got used to it,
Yeah.
and I started enjoying it. And at some point afterwards, after the minor, I was a little bit missing it,
Of course.
because I had already grown to like my roommate.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really stick together. We didn't do the same things, but it was like when you go home, there is kind of someone waiting for you. And even if he's not waiting for you, it's I don't know, it just feels nice. You're not
That alone.
you're not alone
Yeah.
in Hong Kong, because at some point it is a big city, it is a nice city, a lot of things to do, but at some point you just don't want to do anything and you want to stay home and just relax.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit more about the university. What did you study there?
So I actually studied a lot of things, and I'll start with there's so many great things that I studied. Okay, one of them was cinematography. Cinematography, we had to make a short film,
Mm-hmm.
and it was an amazing experience. I have to say, I didn't particularly enjoy the whole process of making the film, because we had assigned roles, and I volunteered to be the director. I really wanted to experience that, to see, okay, what is it to be directing a movie, work with actors, work with cinematographer, work with the editor, with the lights and the setting, and just experience everything, and the producer as well. However, I did not enjoy the process, because I think I went with the expectations that everyone would be as motivated as I was. That was not the case. That was not the case. And although at the end I now enjoy the film that we made, I think it could have been so much better. Nevertheless, this experience of being able to create a movie in a foreign country, it it's just amazing. We had to go through a lot of different actually problems.
Mm-hmm.
We had to find some locations, and what we did was go into the busiest area of Hong Kong and ask one of the nicer bakeries just to close down for us. And they did it.
No way.
And we shot a few scenes there, because we were looking for a bakery specifically. We shot a few scenes there. We closed it down, and the only thing they got in return was having their name, of course, on one of the scenes, just because that's how we show the bakery, but also at the end. That's the only thing they got, and it was nice because it was really on I think it was either Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, where normally people would go to bakeries.
Yeah.
This is one of the only times, especially in Hong Kong and China, where this bakery could make most money.
And they closed down just for you.
They didn't close down entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Just for a long period of time, they shut the lights off. They closed the doors. It seems like they were closed down, and because we were filming there, no one would go in.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, if someone really wants to come in, we're going to let them. We're not going to disturb your customer flow intentionally. But because people would see we are shooting, they wouldn't really go. I don't know how many people they lost or didn't lose, or maybe even gained because, oh, something interesting is
Yeah,
happening.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But they agreed to do that very quickly. It was a very surprising moment for me. And we had to bring a lot of equipment and a lot of stuff there. At some other places, we had to work in a very small room because normally space in Hong Kong is the most valuable thing. It's not money,
Yeah, it's space.
it's space.
I could imagine, honestly. What, besides this course, what other courses did you do?
So another great one was it's not officially a course from the university. It's called TPRS, and TPRS, I don't exactly know what it stands for. However, there was a guy. I think he's 1 year older than me, and he was, or maybe 2 years, and he just graduated. He's in Lingnan, and he did his minor abroad in the UK. And when he came back, he told us that he was missing his friends from there. But then was thinking, okay, so I had a nice experience in the UK. How can I make it nice for the people that come to Lingnan? And so what he thought about is, okay, I'm very good at languages. I speak Cantonese, I speak Mandarin, I speak English. Maybe I should offer some language courses. But how do I make it interesting? And the way he did it, and that was great, was learning language through storytelling. So we would get together and he would introduce a few words. So, nei ho, hello.
Yeah.
Ogyu, which is I am cold.
Okay.
So that's how you present yourself. For example, Ogyu Kaloyan. I'm Kaloyan. Or you can call me Kaloyan.
Okay.
Negyu Demira. And he would give us these little bits of language that we can use to build a kind of a story, which is, who am I? Where do you come from? Very basic. And then next lesson, we would do a little bit extra. And at some point, I was able to order at a restaurant and even understand and express wishes. So I want this, or I would like something else. I want it cold. I want it warm. It was nice. And then it was also a cultural experience because he was teaching us about the norms in Hong Kong, which are a little bit different than the Chinese norms. And he would sometimes give us examples and say, okay, this is a little bit different. So, yeah, the TPRS program was amazing. And me as a foreign student going there was just so exciting because it was a community of foreign students, and foreign also means from China mainland, not just from Hong Kong. So foreign students coming together to learn Cantonese, but primarily to have fun. Because most of the time we didn't write characters, we didn't study characters. It was all as we wanted in our language, the way that we wanted to understand the words that he was saying. We were writing it however we heard it. The point was to be able to express, even on a very, very basic level, some small concepts. And with this community, we would go to some nice places, nice bars. We would listen to Cantonese music. We would play some Chinese games, some Cantonese games. We would have a lot of fun there. And maybe that's one thing I can recommend anyone that goes to Lingnan. Just look for that program. It's amazing. And yeah, I can't express any better how nice it was.
So it's very helpful and useful, and it's very enjoyable as well?
Yes. To a great extent, all of these.
So if I would to go to Hong Kong and study there, I for sure should look for that.
Yeah, definitely.
TPRS, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm writing down for me that one.
Cantonet.
Okay.
That's the
market.
I think that's the Instagram.
Yeah. You told me about the TPRS. What other courses would you recommend?
A little controversial, but one of the best courses that I had in Hong Kong, and especially in Ningnan because of the teacher, was sexuality and society. So the teacher would, and why it was best, it was because I think Rudy Lay was her name, and she would just give us freedom to explore the topics. It's not a course where they teach us how to have sex or something like that. It's a little misconception that sometimes happens, but it's a course where we talk about, for example, what's the difference between a gender and between sex, and we look into scientific studies of that. We look into sexual politics, such as abortion, AIDS. How do you control these? What's moral? What's amoral or immoral? We look at what on the topic of sex and taboo. So why is that not talked about? So in the whole world, it's not very openly discussed. Maybe more and more is being discussed, of course, but in general, this topic is perceived a little bit as a taboo. Oh, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah,
So why are people afraid to talk about that? Do they expose themselves just by asking about it? Or, we talked about these kind of things, a little bit of psychology and morals and ethics on a very controversial topic. We also talked about difference between romantic love, sex, and marriage, and how the three connect, because a family is an institution. So you marry, and then obviously you're kind of segmented. So one family is usually, mother and father, or at least two parents, and then kids. So, for example, the government can more easily separate the people. So, okay, for families, we have this regulation. For not families, we have other regulations. So, for alone people that are alone, such as if you have one child, you get some subsidy from the government. If you have two child, maybe you get more. I think this is very common especially in China. This is now common. I don't know if you remember, but back in the day, it's they had this policy of one child.
Oh yeah.
When they were thinking, oh, we are so many people, and they slowed down the population. So they introduced, okay, if you have more than one child, there are going to be consequences. You were just not allowed to have more than one child. Now they're doing the opposite. Now they want to increase again, but people are just so used to that policy that it's very hard to shift back.
I mean, habits. It's
kind
hard to break.
Kind of. So we will talk about these topics, and it was very interesting because we had in the class people from almost everywhere in the world. Especially we had some Indian friends, classmates, and with them the discussion would be the best. For example, in India, they have the caste system where they have the priests and the academics at the top, and at the bottom of the pyramid is kind of the servants and the peasants, the common people. In between there is the king's warriors and also the merchants. But then there is one group which is untouchables. And untouchable is someone who is kind of excommunicado in Western language. So they're not welcome. They're not welcome, and when they're not welcome, the whole society is pushing them out. They're not supposed to be touched. That's it. Not just touched, physical touch. They're not supposed to be looked at. So they should be out of society in all ways.
That's rough.
And one example, because that's what that's one of the examples we had in the class, and I think it's very interesting, is that when girls would be in their period, they would be locked away from the sun.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
And they're not given food. Of course they give them food because otherwise they might die for depending on how long it lasts. But You're not supposed to look them in the eyes. You are not supposed to talk to them. They must be in isolation. They are the
Yeah.
untouchables.
They're the
So
untouchables.
and it doesn't matter at what level you were previously during that period, especially if you're unmarried. We're talking about unmarried. Then you're untouchable every month.
So it's
It's not nowadays. It's
okay.
not
Yeah, yeah,
nowadays.
yeah, yeah. I was going to ask, is it
No,
still the same
no.
or?
Maybe in some very very small and
Yeah, of
old
course they
villages.
would also be.
Maybe I'm not
Yeah.
sure, but this is what it used to be.
Okay. Yeah.
And this was yeah, a little bit whoa, like what? So these Indian students, they would have a nice perspective on these topics. So it's not yeah, and I would definitely recommend this class.
So you in this class you not only talk about the whole topic from the perspective of China and the culture there, but also from worldwide experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
We yeah, worldwide and a little bit more Asia because that's where we were based, but we also discussed a little bit about the Western world.
Okay. Honestly, that sounds very interesting. From all of the conversations I've had until now, this is the first course with that topic that I hear, so that's really nice.
And this course I chose just with a random idea. Okay, I just want to select random course.
Yeah.
Because we have a long list of courses which you select from, and I was like, okay, I want cinematography, I want psychology is another course I did, amazing as well. I just thought it was all of theory, but I like psychology, and it was nice. It was introduction to psychology, nothing complex, but I just liked the refresher. I also chose social media marketing, which was nice. It was not the most amazing, and I didn't really enjoy the HR.
Why?
Which I chose. First of all, because it's HR. That if that's not enough, then the teacher that was teaching HR was very monotonous.
Oh, yeah.
So whenever she talks, she would talk like that,
And you kind of
throughout the
fall
whole.
asleep.
And I did fall asleep, although I stood on the second desk in front of her. But at some point, it was unbearable.
Yeah.
And so after choosing these courses, I decided, okay, one last course, let's just choose something random. I'm going to Hong Kong, like 4 months. I can study
The weirdest thing.
the weirdest thing ever. And I also had chosen an additional one, which was studio art practice, which I would recommend, although I didn't go there. I would recommend because I had a friend there, and it was nice. And you can do basically anything creative. That's the point of the course as well. And it could be pictures, it could be something you draw, it could be, but it has to be kind of a story. You have to connect it a little bit with something. So it's not just, you do something without any story behind it. Whatever you do, you have a nice story, and you build the product out of that. Not a product to sell, but rather a creative product. So I think she wrote a story and made a drawing for each piece of the story.
You had very interesting, colorful courses overall. Share something about the experience around the examinations for all of these things that you studied.
So the examination is not particularly much different than what's in Fontis. I would say that the process is much clearer in Lingnan. So we would know beforehand from the very first day you're going to get examined like this. This is how much time you have. This is how many questions you have on closed questions. So A, B, C, D. And this is how many open questions you have. This is how many points they are. These are the next 5, 7, 10 weeks of courses that we are having. And this is for the exams, which we would have paper exams. Sometimes we would have report exams. So throughout the whole semester, we have to write, for example, for sexuality and society, what do they test us on? I mean, I don't remember anything specific from the theories.
Yeah.
But I do remember the discussions. So the way that it was organized was we write journal every day. Not every day, but every week we have a short journal based on the class that we just had. What made an impression, what are our thoughts, a little bit reflection, as we call it in Fontis. And then afterwards, at the end, we have to write a report based on a topic of interest. So the topic we communicate, it's free of choice, but we communicate it with the lecturer to discuss if it's okay topic. So if it's too broad or if it's too small, that's kind of the same for every student. So you have to communicate it, but it's basically free of choice. You can do anything you want.
And
As long as it's connected to the topic, of course.
Okay. And what about the film classes that you had? What were the exams?
Yeah, so there we just did the film.
Okay.
And because the teacher there, also nice teacher, she followed our process throughout the whole filmmaking. So all the months she knew where we were, how we were going, what we were doing. So first she knew the progress, and then she graded the movie.
Okay.
And for the Cantonese class, the TPRS, there was no examination, but we did receive certificates of completion.
Okay.
Oh, and I also had an extra Cantonese class, which was just like that, no credit, no nothing, which we just had a small interview in which we had to talk, something like a Norway exam. And there we just had to speak the Cantonese that we've learned throughout the whole semester, which was a very basic. And because I had gone through the TPRS, the Cantonese class was so easy. I received the merit, which is the highest grade for non-credit bearing courses.
Is the language class something mandatory, or you choose it yourself?
I chose it, and it was also a great thing because it really helped me with just living there, being able to understand, even if not everything, just a little bit of the context is really nice.
Yeah, it's always something, nothing crazy about the exams, nothing that we
not really
never seen before.
Not really, just a lot of clarity. Maybe that's something new.
A lot of
clarity.
In what ways do you mean that?
That you don't get surprised by any way. During the exams.
Okay. That's I can't wait to ever experience that thing. Hopefully someday. Yeah. Maybe we shouldn't. Enough about the university. How did you balance your studying with your everyday life and your socializing?
One of my main goals for Hong Kong was to socialize. And combined with that, I chose specifically courses that I like. So I chose them. It was not mandatory to take any of them. In the first 2 weeks, I could switch the courses. I didn't. So I knew that I'm going to do these courses because I want them. But having the goal of socializing in Hong Kong kind of put a little bit of imbalance when I had to make decisions. Okay, do I go to this course or do I go have fun? And although in the course it might be having fun, it's not always the case. So basically, we had midterm exams, not for all the courses, but for half of them. And we would have midterm exams and we would have some submissions to do almost every week. So, for example, the journal, it would be every week. We had to submit it. I would spend, for example, a day just crunching through every deliverable that I have for this week. And then I would spend the rest of the week, of course, attending the classes, but just not thinking about... in the beginning, I wanted to read all the materials and do everything. It was also another smaller goal for me, but I gave up on that the moment that I just saw how beautiful Hong Kong was. You had more important things to do there. I had more important things to do there. I had to see, explore, meet people, have fun, see the beauty of the city and the culture. You said you spent a lot of time exploring the city. Yeah.
did you do that by yourself, or did you make some friends along the way?
In the beginning, actually, maybe the second day or third day I was in Hong Kong, the university had prepared a bus that would take us to Stanley. This is one of the farther neighborhoods, farther from the university, maybe the farthest from the university. It's on the other side of the Hong Kong Island. So the Hong Kong Island is um, the Victoria Bay area. So where we see these nice pictures, this is on the island.
Is that like the city center of it?
Yes. So
Okay.
around the island, on one side of the island is the city center, which
Okay.
we normally refer to as Hong Kong. So the big buildings, the beautiful buildings, the lights in the night, um, the the grandeur things. So the grand experience you can have in Hong Kong.
Okay.
And on the other side of this island, which is not a very small island, would be Stanley. This is a neighborhood, a nice small village, kind of, where they took us with the bus, and we would just explore a market, a local market. We would see, if I'm not mistaken, it was a British pub that they had. My memory is a little bit failing me there, but it was an old building in British style where they would, I think now it's a restaurant, but I think it used to be some kind of a British soldiers building where they would, I think, just drink, and maybe it was also a brewery, but I'm not certain in that.
Okay.
But the building itself was nice, and we would just see this nice small village. So there, the bus left us for maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours to explore, and then they said, whoever wants to come back with us, be here in 2 hours, for example. Or, if you don't want to be back, we're just going to leave you here and go.
You can manage it yourself. It's just Hong Kong.
And I thought, okay, I don't want to be back at 4 p.m. because 4 p.m. was kind of the time where it was the hottest time. It was very hard to breathe. It was great that around this area there was a lot of wind, breeze. However, I wanted to explore more. So why wouldn't I stay until 8, 9, 10 p.m.? It's the first days in Hong Kong. I have nothing to do in my dorm, absolutely nothing. My roommate hadn't yet arrived to say that I meet with him and talk and spend time with him. No. I just wanted to stay in the city and just explore it. So I told everyone, guys, I'm staying. If anyone wants to explore, I'd be happy to have someone join me. But I'm going with a random public transport from Stanley to the city, so to the other side of the island. And I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I'm going to figure it out. Unfortunately, no one joined me.
No one had
no
interest in joining you.
I think they might have had interest because I know some people who explored afterwards a lot. But I think, first of all, they weren't sure who I was. We didn't know each other. I was just a random
guy
exchange
there,
student from, and on the other side of Hong Kong, who, And then, second, I didn't really have a good plan how and what I'm going to do. So, what are they joining even, right?
Yeah.
I'm basically saying, I'd love to explore the city. I have no idea how I'm going to do that. I have no idea who I'm going to do that with. I have no idea what I'm going to see. If you want to join, come.
Join.
Not a great, unique selling proposition in my message. But I also think that they just felt too hot and just want to go back to the AC and didn't want to spend time not being able to breathe. So this was the first time I explored. Afterwards, and this was after early September, mid-September, I found my group of people, my community, and we, from then on, didn't really separate. So we would explore everywhere, everything together. We even went touring around Southeast Asia together. Nice. Sometimes alone, sometimes we meet together. We had our own ways, all of us, but we would meet at certain points along the way, just because we wanted to. And yeah, before meeting this group of friends, I explored a few more times the city alone, just because it was lovely. The first day I couldn't explore everything. One thing I explored then was the Star Ferry. The Star Ferry is a ferry, a boat,
Yeah.
like I think it comes from the ferry boat, but it's not for cars. It's just for
Yeah.
humans. And it starts from one side of the Victoria Bay, goes to the other, and it's very cheap and it's very fast. So there are two ways to cross from the island to the mainland. One is through the metro or the car tunnel. Second is with the ferry.
Mm-hmm.
So either by water or underground, if we exclude the flying. But I didn't
Yeah,
have
of
a
course.
helicopter coming
That
to
would be
pick me
great.
up. That would be great because of the view.
Oh.
I might just do it sometime. But I took the ferry, and the ferry was, I think, $3 or $5
Which is around
less than €1.
less than €1. So it is
Less than
pretty
a
cheap.
euro.
Okay, that's
It's
good.
extremely cheap, and it's really nice because you
Perfect.
get to choose. I think it was $3 on the lower level of the ferry and 5 on the higher. And if you're on the upper floor, you can see the water and you can breathe fresh air. You can put your hands out, and
Nice.
really nice experience. Especially if you haven't been to Hong Kong previously, this is something that's a must do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something like very special, but it's something really nice. It's a small thing that makes your day, kind of. There is a lot of people going there, and it's and the 2 points that it starts and ends at are busy areas. So they're kind of the center of the mainland part of the city and the center of the island part of the city.
Mm-hmm. And getting a little back at the topic of making friends and not having to explore all these beautiful things alone, how hard is to make friends there?
Initially, I thought it was pretty hard
Mm-hmm.
because there were two groups of big groups of international students, which we kind of split into, and I was sometimes part of both, sometimes part only of one, but we weren't really friends.
Mm-hmm.
So we were acquaintances. That's how I like to call people that I have good time with, but I don't really consider friends. And I thought that it's going to be like that for the rest of the experience. However, I had signed up for Chinese lantern making workshop. So this workshop, we were supposed to make Chinese lanterns. And I was about to not show up because it was 4 in the afternoon.
Okay. I was
4
like
in the
4 in the morning.
afternoon. No, 4
Okay.
in the afternoon.
That's better. That's a bit
It's
better.
still very hot.
Yeah.
It's still very humid. I'm very tired. And I was like, I'm just gonna stay in bed.
Mm-hmm.
It was after a class, early September. And I was like, okay, you know what? You signed up, just go. If you don't like it, you're not going to show up again. You don't have to, but just go. And I went, and that's where I found my 2 best friends.
What a nice coincidence.
And the coincidence also was that we were the only not Chinese people.
I could imagine how you felt there.
And it was so funny because I was wearing a skydiving t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them are girls, and one of the girls was like, "Oh, you do skydiving?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and she was like, "Oh, that's so cool." And that's how. And the third girl also jumped in they knew themselves before that.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't met before Hong Kong, but they met somewhere there on some hike.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started talking about like some exciting things that we've been doing, like skydiving, hiking, snorkeling, mountaineering, and just amazing things that the 3 of us really love. And that's how we kind of clicked from this skydiving t-shirt and this Chinese workshop, where the message I'm trying to give you
Yeah.
is like
I
the
was just going
most
to
random, unexpected
always.
setting can
Always.
can be the fruit of some of the most exciting friendships.
Yeah.
I'm still friends with them until now, and we see each other, we meet each other, we have fun. It's
Hmm.
yeah.
In my opinion, random things are always with the best outcome. So yeah, you spend a lot of fun time with them.
Yeah.
You also spent time alone. Was there ever a point where you felt lonely?
There were times,
Hmm.
yes, where I was, as I mentioned earlier, in the big group of friends, where we would big group of acquaintances, where we would kind of enjoy each other, but not really friends. And then I don't think we really get each other. We don't dive into what I really really like and value and love doing. We would just stay on the top of everything and not dive deeper into each other. I don't know. We didn't open to each other, and so for this time being, which for me felt a long time, but was really maybe a week or two. Um, it felt a little bit like, oh, I came to Hong Kong. Everything was left behind in Europe, like friends, family, and even career opportunities. And now I'm feeling bad, but that was quickly overcome because I went to this Chinese workshop, Chinese lantern workshop, and honestly, when that happened, I think it was good because I think one of the things that's beneficial for everyone is to learn to be alone,
Hmm.
and actually now I'm actually dedicating specific time where I would actually just do a lot of things alone. For example, I'm going to Italy next week alone.
Alone.
Italy alone.
Who does that really?
Exactly.
You, apparently.
Apparently, me. I just want to go to Italy, and anyway, that's a different topic. But just spending time alone, that taught me how to spend time alone.
Hmm.
And then also when I was traveling in Southeast Asia, um, I was also spending a lot of time alone, and this was also great, just because I get to know myself better.
Of course. You have a lot of time to self reflect,
Yeah,
needless to
and
say,
explore,
yourself.
explore. Yeah,
There is also the feeling of homesickness. What about this?
no,
Never.
no,
Not a single time.
not a single time.
Sure.
I'm 100% sure because I've been asked this before.
Mm-hmm.
Also during my stay there,
Yeah.
I did not feel homesick. I enjoyed my time thoroughly, even when I felt lonely, even when I was alone. I never felt homesick. Also, not when I was traveling in Southeast Asia.
Now, can you tell me about your day to day life? How does that work in Hong Kong? The speed of life, the speed of the city. How do you feel in that city?
So the day-to-day life was very interesting, and I can only speak after second month or third month because before that I didn't really pay attention to day-to-day life. I didn't really have any routines, and I was just exploring what's happening. Not just exploring the city, but also what's happening with, okay, do I like waking up early? Do I like waking up late? How do I manage my courses with my social life? And um, normally my day-to-day life would be in the morning I do something productive, either have class, either do some work for some class that I have at noon, and just do some productive work. Could be that I write a script or that I read a book, something that I kind of develop myself in more theoretical terms, more academic, not so physical. um, And then after classes, I would normally eat with some friends. That's actually a big topic that I should mention, eating. Um, don't eat alone in Hong Kong, in China.
Why?
Because if you eat alone, you're first of all wasting food, second of all, not enjoying it. So you're wasting food because if you want to try different food, you have to order a few things. And when you order a few things, they come for not just one person. And although I enjoy eating a lot, eating food for three people
It's not
is
that
not
enjoyable.
easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And the second, it's not enjoyable because I don't have the conversations. I don't have the experiences of others. Okay, how do you describe these tastes? How does this tea taste? Tea is amazing in China. I can recommend teas, and you have it basically with every meal that you have, um, even sometimes in the morning. But normally at lunch and evening, you always have tea. And teas are so many varieties of teas. They're amazing. And food, if you eat alone and drink tea alone on a big round table, that's not nice. No. So, day to day life, I would eat sometimes with friends, and then either have another class or just spend some time resting before the afternoon, before the late afternoon, before maybe the evening, where um, either we would go in the city and enjoy the city, explore the city, maybe go for a short hike
Mm-hmm.
next to the university. There was a nice hill
Oh.
that was um, that we could easily hike. Um, there was also a nice um, natural swimming pool. It's not a swimming pool, but it's just a pool with water. Um,
Okay.
it's not very deep, but people would sometimes go and
Take.
swim there. Um, and then in the evening we would definitely do something. Maybe it's a TPRS, which I explained. We would sometimes go to bar, have some music, fun, play some games. Usually the TPRS class was in the evenings, so from 7 because it was after work. Because Evan is called the guy who was giving the TPRS. Evan would work during the day, and he would do that TPRS class after work. So after work, we would normally have dinners together. So after the class, we would just okay. So what do we do for dinner? Right? We did the class together. Now let's go to dinner. We go to dinner together. We learn more during the dinner because what we just learned, we try to use. At least
Mm-hmm.
I was very active in trying to repeat and learn. And okay, but how do you say that I'm a little bit hungry, but I actually don't want to eat? Or some, not exactly that, but some very, very specific things that I would never ever use in any other context.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's day to day.
And speed of life in
Speed of
Hong
life,
Kong.
right? Speed of life. In the area of Futei, where the university was, that's like the neighborhood.
Okay.
Speed of life would be, I would say, normal. Maybe a little bit faster than what we have in Netherlands, but normal. It didn't feel anything rushed. However, in the big city, very fast, very very fast. People would always be going somewhere, always be walking quite fast, not running, but just they have a direction, they have somewhere to go to, they want to get there as fast as possible. It's not leisurely walk around the streets of
Yeah.
Hong Kong.
They're not just having random walks around.
No, and then you also have a lot of cars at the same time which are driving and they are normally driving fast. So it's not only that the speed of life is it's perceived fast. So a lot of things are happening and you also see things that are happening quickly, like cars that are moving quickly. In Venlo, I don't ever see cars. I mean, obviously, I see some cars, but compared to Hong Kong, it's nothing. It's and then you would also hear some helicopters, some planes. Like you would see, there is a lot of things happening around you, and from one day to the other, it's a lot. It's not like it stops. Okay, on Monday it's a lot because that's the first day of the work week. No, it's every day.
Does the city ever sleep?
I want to say no, but I'm not sure that would uh, be correct
Mm-hmm.
because the nightlife in Hong Kong. So maybe the actual answer is no, it doesn't sleep because you can always find a place you can eat something like a 7-Eleven. 7-Elevens are great, amazing. Um, there is just everything you need there. everything you need for food, for a snack, especially in the evening. There would be always something like that open. There is normally public transport, a little bit less regular than during the day, and nightlife, seeing clubs and party places. From what I've heard, it used to be much better than what it was when I was there. There was one street which LKF we call it, One Kwai Fong. Um, that's just the name of the street.
Mm-hmm.
It's the party street. It's the club street. That's the most clubs, the most parties. If you go there, normally you would find a lot of people, young people, not only very young, so not only teenagers and students. You would also find like 30, 40 years old, also going there, having a drink at a bar.
Tell me a bit more about the party life there. You mentioned that street.
Yeah.
How is it to party in Hong Kong?
I think if you go with friends, it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
If you go alone and if you enjoy techno, um, you might like it. People are friendly normally, but you have to be very careful. At least I was very careful with I never went there with anything very valuable. Never bring your passport there. I did not. Sometimes if you want to go into the club, they ask for a driving license or for ID from a European country. They sometimes let you in, sometimes not. So you have to be a little bit lucky and negotiate a little bit. But they want to see the year, the date of birth. And then they would let you in, but don't bring anything valuable, because if you drink and if you don't drink there, then it's a little bit strange. It's not like that you don't have a good experience. I didn't always drink and I had nice experiences, but when you drink, you kind of feel included. It's a bit of peer pressure there, and sometimes you have to give in to
Yeah.
the peer pressure. But I think if you go with friends and if you try to explore, so not go to all the popular places, but also try to find some kind of indie places, small bars, small clubs where they have nice music, then you can really enjoy it. It's really enjoyable.
Party life. If you bring friends, it's decent, it's nice. Avoid doing it alone and don't bring valuable stuff with you.
Yeah.
Perfect. You said multiple times that you did a lot of exploring there. Tell me, is it hard to explore the language, the transportation, and everything around?
So the language at first, and if you're not open to being not understood, and if you're not open to confusions and just wasting some time, really wasting some time, then you have a hard time. If you're open to experiencing a little random situations where you don't know what to say, you can't really say where you're going because you don't know how to pronounce it, or it's just characters which you cannot read, and maybe you don't have mobile data so that you can translate it with Google Translate. It can be a little bit difficult. But see, if you're open to it, you can have a nice time. So for language, it's doable if you understand a little bit of the culture norms. So for example, and that's linked to transportation, the green buses and the red buses. You have normal buses, which are two-floor buses, like that, the ones that we see in London, which are the normal ones. And then you have green and red. I don't think I ever went on the red buses. They're very extreme.
What do you mean? Extreme?
They're very extreme. So normal buses have a specific route at specific times. Green buses have a specific route, which is at some times. It's not very clear at what time of the day they will show up. They're quite frequent, and sometimes you have an indicator whether they're in 10 minutes or around 10 minutes. But they're not very predictable. If you don't know them, if you're used to them and you know how they work and operate, it's very predictable. But it's not easy for a foreign student to get to know them quickly. Now the red buses, they sometimes change routes on the go. So sometimes they just don't follow the same route every time. They don't stop where you want. They drive super fast. They're not very stable. So it's like a roller coaster in real life.
How do you stop the bus then?
You have to wave very visibly. And it's not like they don't stop because they want money and you pay them every time you stop them. I think they're also cheaper than the green buses. The green buses are cheap.
There is a reason to be cheaper. The red buses, honestly.
And a lot of people use them, and I've heard some stories from friends if they miss the green bus, because the green bus sometimes they also don't stop. You have to wave to them to stop, or you have to click the button inside which says stop. That, by the way, is very nice, very nice norm they have there. They are using these buttons. When they have a stop button inside, they are using that. I think where I'm from, Bulgaria, and there we don't use these stop buttons. It just stops everywhere.
They don't usually work, but that could be also the case.
We don't use it. I haven't seen a lot of places in Europe that use it. I think some places use it, but I don't think it's a lot. In Hong Kong, they use it, and it's amazing because you really don't want to stop every single time. You only stop where you want to or where some other person on the bus wants to. Now, the green buses and the red buses work in a similar way. Some green buses have the buttons, others don't. And in the ones that you don't have the buttons, you have to shout in Chinese, in Cantonese, that you want to get off at certain station.
What do you shout?
I have no clue.
Okay.
To this day, I have not learned it. I was learning it when I was there. I want to get off at the station. That I knew how to say, now I don't. And you have to shout it. And because in Chinese, Mandarin, and Cantonese, you have tones. So you can say tone or tone or tone. So you have different tones.
Yeah.
Mandarin is a little bit easier than Cantonese in that regard because it has less tones. Cantonese has up to 9 tones.
Wow.
So
good luck with that.
It's a little bit hard.
Yeah.
And if you shout something in the wrong tones, the driver can't quickly understand what you mean. And if he's close to the station and he's wondering, what is he saying? Is it some specific station he wants me to stop at? They might just skip the station. And you're one station. And it's not nice to walk the distance of a whole station, especially on the road, on a mountain road, on the side of a mountain. It's not very pedestrian friendly. But you shout that and they can stop. But it's an experience. It's doable. Overall, it's doable. Language and transportation exploring is doable. Only thing you need to have is a little bit motivation and a very slight luck. Luck is always nice.
Luck is indeed always nice. A bit of luck, a bit of motivation, because there are a lot of places to see. Yep. Can you show me some of those places? I would love to finally see them. Honestly, that's a strong start. Let's see if we can top that.
I think we can. But this was indeed, this was the first hike I did in Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. And this is in the on the Lantau Island. So on the other side of this track is the big Buddha. There is an enormous, I think it's bronze Buddha. That is just sitting there. And this is the second highest peak in Hong Kong. It goes a little bit further up, but this picture was just amazing. And you could see the little islands at the back, and the horizon and the other mountain on the other side. This was the first hike I did with some friends. What was very interesting is actually we were taking a green bus there to get there. And we I was the one that was leading the bus. So I said, okay, we have to take the green bus, we have to drive for 5 stops, and then we have to get off. And then I was engaged in a conversation with a friend, and we just missed the stop because they went so fast through the 5 or 10 stops, however many we had to go through, that I was like, 2 stops afterwards, I realized, oh, we have to stop them.
2 stops afterwards.
Yes, but they
Good for
didn't
you.
stop. They didn't stop.
Mhm.
They don't stop if you don't tell them to. And so no one told them to, and I didn't really
Counts.
count.
Yeah,
For me, it was like, oh, okay, I have some time there. And so we had to take a bus back. And then in the beginning of this trail, actually, there was a cow, just like that, sitting there, and
why not?
no one around it. It just sitting, and the beginning of the trail. And
Spirit animal,
what was a
honestly.
little bit interesting about this hike was that in the beginning of the hike, the weather was awful. It almost was raining. And then by the time we got up there, so we started down there under the clouds that we see. We started down there. It was cloudy. It was dark. It was gray. By the time we were halfway, the clear sky was out, and we could see the blue sky, the sea. It's really nice.
Next one.
Yes. So on the topic of exploring, I was there alone. This monastery. This is actually a nice monastery. I think it's called Shan Monastery.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is a Buddha, the tall statue. And it was actually a nice monastery. They actually have a second part of this monastery where they, I think, were training Kung Fu or some other martial arts, but it was locked for visitors.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically for this monastery, you have to reserve your entrance because they don't want a lot of people going there.
Understandable, yeah.
One day I just went there without reservation, without anything, and I was like, oh, come on, they're going to let me in. Nope. They stop you in the beginning. If you don't have a ticket and there are no free spots, you're not allowed. And there are no free spots if you don't reserve. So I had to reserve for next week. And next week I just came back. I already knew what I was doing. Also, because it was so hot, I went there with shorts. And then midway, I realized, they don't allow with shorts.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have long leg. And it's okay. They give some ropes that you can put around your waist, and then it's not polite to go with shorts.
That looks fun.
One of my favorite pictures. Not of the quality of the picture, but just also the quality is great, but just the experience I had there. So the person taking the picture is actually the girl who asked me, "Oh, you do skydiving?" And the other girl is the first person that you see on the picture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the left, and there's 2 other guys on the right, in the back. We went kayaking, and that was just amazing. We didn't really know how we were going to do that. So we said, okay, we want to go kayaking. I actually had this idea also before going to Hong Kong. Maybe that was part of the preparation.
Mm-hmm.
When I was reading for the history, I was also seeing like nice activities that you can do there. And then I realized, okay, kayaking is part of it. So we kind of organized ourselves to go kayaking. And far in the back behind the first girl, you can see in the back there is like a city, a little bit buildings, very small. That's from where we started. And then we just kayak throughout the whole day.
Good.
This is Sai Kung. If my memory doesn't fail me. And in Sai Kung, it's just a lot of little islands that you can just kayak between. And so we went back and forth to a few places. And at one point we stopped. I think it's towards the left part of the picture. At the end of that mountain there, we made a turn behind it, and that's where we stopped for a break. And there we also hiked up. So we left and that's not the first time we did it. We second time, I'm not sure if I had a picture of that, we'll see later, but we kayaked again, and we also left the kayaks at one point, and then we started hiking a little bit. It was great. It was the first kayaking, and it was amazing.
Nice. Would recommend.
Definitely.
Perfect. Let's go further. Ooh, who is that little guy?
I don't have a name, but it was really curious to find it. I was again alone, exploring the highest peak of Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tai Mo Shan. I'm mistaken the name, but I think that was the name. And I was just there, and I was taking some pictures of the city, and then I just saw something moving, and then that was this little guy. This is the picture I was taking before I saw this little guy.
Okay.
And this is not even the Hong Kong Victoria Bay area.
So it's not even the best.
It's not even the best. I'm not sure if it tops the first one, but it's really beautiful.
It is a different perspective. It's really nice.
So I mentioned the second time we went kayaking.
Mm-hmm.
This is the hike from that second time.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And maybe the next picture? No. Okay, go back. No, I don't have it.
Okay.
But down there, where on the same island, we went down, and on the right side of the island there was a nice beach with really nice sand, and the water. I think this was in October at some time, so the water had started going cold a little bit, but we still went in for a swim, and it was just nice. Yeah.
Perfect.
So kayaking and hiking is
A big
definitely
thing.
must do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Can you go to the next picture as well? I just wanna. Can you go down again? Again?
No.
Okay, go back. Go up. Go up. I just want to see what I.
Are we back
prepare.
there?
Yeah, we're back
Okay.
there. Okay. So this picture is the start of a series from the same experience, and I'm going to share the experience as we move on along the pictures. It was a 100-kilometer hike. So we went.
Sorry. How much?
100 kilometer. At the end of October or early November, we decided, okay, we're going for 3 days camping.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to hike the whole route, and we're going to camp in the evenings. So this is the morning. This is actually one of the beach areas that we pass by. So we start from one end of Hong Kong. We do a little twist around the Sai Kung area, which is the most beautiful area in Hong Kong. And then we go back to the university area. So we go a long way through the mountains back to the university. And this was in the beginning. So this picture is probably at around 11 a.m. or maybe 12 or 1. At 10:30, 11, we started the hike. And slightly into the hike, we were at that beach. Later on, we camped at one of the beach, and it was very funny because during the evening we were first of all it was me and Rebecca. These are the two girls that we explored almost everything together, and we saw them also in the previous picture. We decided to camp at the beach, and when we were setting up the tent, there were two Hong Kong girls who were giving us some suggestions. Hey guys, maybe are you going to camp here, or should you because we were wondering if we should camp on the beach or if we should camp outside the beach, and we were kind of exchanging some ideas with them, and then they told us, okay, we're going to camp on the sand. And when you camp at a beach, one thing you have to consider is the tide. So in the night it goes away, and in the morning it comes back.
So yeah, don't get too close to the water.
So after we've hiked a long day, the water had already gone far. We didn't really notice how far it went, but we knew in the morning it's going to come back. And so we were like, okay, how? And because it was a lot of flat area, so on flat areas, the water comes back very quickly and by a long distance, just because it's flat. How much space should we give it, right? Anyway, we camped near where the girls camped as well, because we thought, okay, this is a little bit higher place on the sand, and it's far away from the water, because it was a very big beach. And what happened was as we were having, the girls actually told us, guys, don't leave any food in your tent because there is wild boars, and although we don't know of anything bad that could happen, they smell food.
Of
Don't
course.
leave food with you in the tent. And we were like, oh, okay, we've never thought about that, but we are not going to
To do it.
to do it.
Yeah.
So as we finished having dinner, we put all the food in my backpack, and we tied it on a tree. So we climbed a little bit, we tied it very hard so that we have food for the next 3 days or three nights, and basically just got a pack of playing cards because it was like 8 in the evening. It was already dark, pretty dark, and we were like, okay, what are we going to do now? So we start playing cards, and all of a sudden we hear one of the girls just scream as you have never heard before. I have never heard a scream like that before. All of a sudden, the three of us opened the tent, and we put our heads out of the tent.
Just a little. Not
Just one
too
head,
much there.
three heads, one on top of the other, like in a cartoon.
Yeah.
When they have just like,
Whoop.
and I remember what I saw was that one of the girls who was screaming, she had a handbag with her, and she was kind of frozen to at one place, and her handbag, she was just throwing it away. At the time of throwing it away, what I saw was this big wild boar just rushing towards her and grabbing the bag midair. As she was throwing the bag away, the boar just jumped and got the bag out of in the air, and the girl was just so scared that she couldn't speak for a few minutes.
Oh,
And of course, we asked them if they were okay, and what they had in the bag, if it was very valuable. But that experience just puts in perspective how lucky we were to listen to them before the night was before it was very dark, because we had just come back from tying our foot, just come back. So if we had spent maybe 20 more minutes or maybe half an hour more eating, or ate half an hour later, could have been our bag that was stolen like that, and while we were eating, because we were eating noodles, and we had a little stove, so we prepared them on hand, so the smell was very strong. But no, the girls were well, and they only had a gin there. So a little jokingly, we were thinking like,
Yeah.
oh my, drunk boar, what could happen?
Yeah.
Normally they don't drink alcohol. I don't know if this one drank it, but we went back to our tent. We continued playing cards. And what happened was that at some point we started hearing toof, 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 toof around our tent. So in the sand,
Nice.
when something very heavy is pushed in the sand, you can hear a little bit the sand moving. We heard that. And we had heard the scream before, and it was fresh in our minds.
So it was just all rolling.
It was all rolling, and the stop was around us, and all of a sudden, as we were giving each other a lot of space in the tent, because it was a big tent, but it's still we needed some breathing area. All of a sudden, the three of us are in the middle, facing kind of outward. So okay, where is it going to come from? Is it going to come? What do we do? Do we stay inside or do we run?
Yeah.
What do we do?
Oh.
And we didn't have a lot of time to think about it, because all of a sudden, as we were sitting kind of in the center, one of the corners, we could hear from that corner the boar just grab the corner and pulled it with its teeth, with its jaw, pulled it, and What I remember was that the whole tent moved a little bit before that corner broke. So the boar broke the tent, and the next thing that happened was the three of us exit the tent in the most efficient way anyone can exit any tent that has an opening only for one person. So the three of us exit from this opening of one person very quickly, very quickly. There was no moment of
Rethinking it.
how is it going to
Yeah.
happen, right? It just happened. And what I remember afterwards was that we moved away from the tent quite quickly. I don't think we ran because maybe running would track it.
Yeah, it's not the
But we
best
were
idea.
very quick to get away. And I know maybe we were 10, 20 meters away. Doesn't sound a lot, but it was far away. We could see our tent just being stormed through. So the boar went in from one side, went out from the other, then came back from a third side and came out from the fourth side. The whole tent was just like destroyed.
Oh no.
And before the boar went away, it was standing. And after the boar was finished with it, we could see I'm a little bit sad, not very sad because
At least you're here.
I'm a little bit sad because
Yeah.
we didn't film how it happened. It was very cinematic how the boar just finished ripping the tent, and then the tent slowly just falls down on the sand. And the boar was not interested. There was no food. It was just the smell why it attacked us, just the smell, because we ate at the same place where we had our tent. So the smell was still staying. Maybe part of the tent was with the smell.
So for next time, that could also be a note. Don't eat where.
Don't eat where your tent is.
Yeah.
Don't eat with the clothes you're sleeping. Just don't have anything to do with food near your tent. Anyway, our plans to do a 100-kilometer hike in 3 days were destroyed, as our tent was the only thing that protected us from the cold night.
The
because
same way
night
your
was
tent
cold.
was destroyed, your plans. That's unfortunate. Yeah.
Exactly. And we went to see what happened to the tent. The boar went away. Everything was okay. In the tent itself was not okay, but everything else was. Oh no, it was not. So and that's very important because Mia's backpack and it had sentimental value as well. Not just the backpack was very nice, very strong backpack, but it got ripped. So it was looking through the backpacks as well. So the backpack just got ripped, and that was a big loss because that bag was important for her, and it was also carrying 1/3 of everything. And now that we have only 2 bags,
Yeah, how do you do that?
how do we distribute the weight? Because for 3 days we got a lot of weight in our backpacks.
Of course.
Although we try to have as little as possible, it's necessary. At least food, at least some equipment to prepare the food. Anyway, that was a big loss, and we kind of made it work with some rope. So the rope that we used to tie the food on the tree, we then used to first fill in the backpack, the ripped backpack, and then just tie everything inside. So the backpack usually has an exoskeleton, and when we put everything inside and then rope, it kind of became an interskeleton.
Yeah.
The skeleton of the backpack, the skeleton was inside.
Outside. Yeah.
So yeah, that was how we dealt with it. And we just threw away the tent. There was nothing to be done with the tent. We just threw it away. However, now we're at the point of the night, like 9:30, maybe 10 p.m. We are about 18 kilometers away from where we started. We are deep into not exactly jungle, but it's just roads which are around trees with wild boars and some other insects and maybe some other animals as well, in the middle of Hong Kong on the other side of our university. So we're not close to the university. It's night and we don't have a tent. What do we do? There were 2 choices. Either we call a taxi, which comes to the nearest village, or we try to find another solution. I saw that Mia, whose idea it was to do this 100-kilometer hike, was devastated. So she was just not feeling good at all. She is very expressive, and I saw that, and then we kind of discussed it. And me and her are usually the people who have a little bit crazy ideas. So maybe her more, but I think I suggested. So if we have to go back 15, 18 kilometers, why don't we just go forward?
The logic is there. I see it.
Because if we go back, we go
What's the
back to the
point?
whole
Yeah.
mountain again. Boars could be there as well. If we go forward, maybe we're closer. Okay, I forgot to mention. On the same day of the hike, there was a marathon, 100-kilometer marathon, which happened exact same route that we were planning to do. We didn't know about the marathon, but what was good was that every 10 kilometers or 10, 15 kilometers, there was a marathon punkt. So there was a stop point, rest point, where they would give some drinks and to the marathoners. And then we were thinking maybe we should go forward, and the next point would be nearby, and we can just get the bus from there. Maybe it's doable. And then we kind of go to Rebecca, who is the more
practical.
No, not practical. Responsible in a way.
Yeah.
A person. And we're like, do you think that's a very bad idea to go forward? And as she saw that we were serious, and although she might be a little bit more responsible, she's also having fun and enjoying like spontaneous things. She was like, well,
why not?
All things considered,
Yeah.
we just might as well do it. So after that, we give it. We talk with the other two girls who also decided not to stay because maybe the boar comes back later, and this time they're two girls alone versus one big boar, and that boar was enormous. It was maybe 3 times as big as I, not tall, but just as big, heavier, very heavy, very, very wide. A scary boar.
Yeah.
And a very fast one. If you see how it runs, it's very fast. Very, very, very fast.
At the end of the day, it's a wild animal, so...
And it was angry.
Yeah.
And it was angry. It was hungry. It was angry. Usually they don't attack people. And while now they didn't really attack people, they might. So the girls decided to come with us to the next point, and then they would leave. So we would go forward. We saw some boars along the way, and we were very, very careful with them, but nothing really happened. They were
good.
chill, normal boars, not hungry.
Finally.
Not maybe hungry, but not angry, not aggressive. So we would go to the next point, and at that time we would have a nice. We would have had nice time. We would have cooled down, calmed down, and we would have enjoyed the hike because during the day it was very hot. During the night, it was just perfect temperature for hiking. So as we get to the next point of the marathon runners, we say goodbye to the girls, and then we have a short snack because we have a lot of food with us. Eating more food means less carrying. And so we discuss, okay, are we going back home or should we move on with the hike? Because we were the adrenaline had come up, so we weren't really sleepy. We weren't feeling exhausted from the whole day. Although we were exhausted, we weren't feeling it. There was a lot of adrenaline in our veins. We decided to go on. So instead of going home at maybe 1 a.m. or something like that, we go forward on the hike, which we don't know anything about. And we would do that a few times. So the rest points would be between 10-15 kilometers between each rest point. We went to the middle of the hike. So we started at around 18th kilometer of the hike, for the night hike, and we ended around 40 something. So in the night we were actually faster than during the day.
But
And yeah,
sorry for interrupting. You don't see anything at night. Yeah, of course you have flash, but flash in the city where around you is just dark and then you have light somewhere else further, it's different experience. But I have been in the mountain when it's dark outside and the flash, it's not doing much. Like you have no idea what is happening around you. That type of darkness is something you could never experience even if you sit in your room with all the lights shut off. How do you manage to walk for so long?
first of all, we had headlights,
Mm-hmm.
so the ones that we have on our
Yeah.
head and that are strong, so we don't have to really carry flashlight on in our hands. Yes, you're totally correct. We sometimes couldn't see anything. We just see a lot of trees, and with these trees, we see a lot of shadows. And in the night, when you're tired,
Everything is oh.
it didn't feel creepy because we were playing some songs. We had a I had a I don't know if I had the speaker with me or not, but anyway, we were playing songs, and the songs were just keeping the mood. At some times, and this is real story. We would feel very very down, so we were very
Mm-hmm.
tired, and we had just hiked up a mountain and then hiked down and then hiked up again, because that's just how it's in Hong Kong: up down, up down,
Mm-hmm.
up
Mm-hmm.
down. There is no leveled walking, and so we were tired, and we would play
What's that?
ABBA, Mamma Mia. Mamma Mia songs,
Ah, okay.
the ones where they're very energetic and they're very
Wait, did you say ABBA or?
yeah,
Ah, okay. I heard something
the
completely
band,
different. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get that.
yeah. We played them just so that we can keep energy in ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and then we would try to be interacting with each other, because just walking for long kilometers, and I can tell you it was long because I was the person who couldn't go more. And I love hiking. I love
Yeah.
hiking. But then it was just a little extra for me to go, I know, 30 kilometers. In total, we did around 50 kilometers, but the hike was, from the hike, we did about 40, 45. Um, so in 24 hours to do 50 kilometers is,
It's crazy.
I've never done a marathon before. And I think this counts as a kind of a marathon,
Mm-hmm.
because we basically rested for maybe 3 hours and then did the rest. Um,
Strong spirit.
yeah, and so, but you're totally correct. Sometimes in the night we would see only trees and shadows, and ABBA is the only thing that would save it. And we would play it
Yeah.
a few times because we saw in the beginning that gave us energy to keep going, and then we'd play it a few times when we would feel very bad. We
Mm-hmm.
would specifically say, "Okay, play ABBA now."
Yeah.
I feel like we need a little bit of a shot,
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah. So this picture
Mm-hmm.
is actually from the morning. So
A beautiful sunrise.
a beautiful sunrise. It was amazing, and we could see. So we actually hurried up a little bit because we knew when the sunrise was.
Mm-hmm.
At one of the rest points, we discussed with each other, and we were like, "Okay, the sunrise is in 2 hours. In 2 hours," and we had a map of the trail to know, where is the high point and where is the low point. So in 2 hours, right now we are at the low point, and in 2 hours we could be at the high point for the sunrise. And we all love sunrises. We had seen the sunset, which was beautiful, and we have the sunrise, and we just hurried up because that place where we wanted to have the sunrise was not very close.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, we hurried and we were exhausted. I particularly, and I'm glad this is not on this picture, but on the other side of this picture is one of my friends taking picture of the sunrise, or maybe it was me, but I remember after I took a picture, I just sat down on the ground on the trail. There was no place to sit down, but I just sat down and I was just ready to fall asleep. I was eating some sweets. I was eating some nuts for energy, but that didn't work. Even Ambo at some point stopped working. So I was just exhausted, really exhausted. And but the sunrise was beautiful.
It was like a reward after the.
It was like a big reward because I had an aim,
Yeah,
see the
the
sunrise. And after I saw the sunrise, I was done. I was ready to sleep. I was ready to just rest now.
Understandable, honestly.
And then this is in the morning. In the next picture, this is actually maybe 10 a.m. And this is, I think it's called Dragonback Trail hike, Dragonback hike, because it looks like a dragon back. So it's like, and there are many perspectives of this specific shape of the mountain. They're all very nice, but I just chose that because it shows that the road is a little bit rocky in the beginning and it's a little bit wider and then goes into a very narrow one and then goes again into a wider one. It was a very, very interesting hike. What you can see on the right with the small buildings, and then on the left you can see, you don't really notice them, but small buildings near the water.
Yeah, I see them right there.
So what this shows is that Hong Kong has a lot of urban areas very close to the rural areas.
That's actually.
So we are on top of a mountain,
that's
but we
nice.
see a city, we see a village, we see some place that there is people. And at this point, so after the end of this trail that we see on the picture, I think there was a lot of going down. And going down when you're exhausted.
No, it's worse than going up, honestly.
Oh my God. I started having a headache. My legs were, it was very hard to keep them. It felt very bad. I don't have great memories of it because I had a headache and because I was just like, I want to go to bed. I want to go to bed. Yeah. I wasn't whining, but it was close to
that point.
It was getting close, and me and Rebecca, they were obviously very exhausted as well. Maybe more than me because the previous night I had a nice sleep, and I don't think they had a nice sleep. Anyway, and they weren't, although they were very exhausted. So I feel a bit embarrassed there, but I just couldn't go further.
Yeah,
it was like my
breaking point.
Now I regret not going further.
Of course.
Because just imagine like if it wasn't 50 kilometers, but like 70 kilometers. And if it was 70, I could have just gone to the university.
More, yeah.
Because at one point it just... But anyway, that was an amazing hike. And we didn't finish the 100-kilometer hike, unfortunately, but we had an amazing time hiking for about 24 hours. We were hiking. So we arrived in the beginning at around 10:30, and I think this picture is from around 9:30, maybe 10:30. Yeah. So by 11 we went down, because on the hike it's not one straight hike that you don't go down and you can't leave the hike or the trail. At certain points we could just leave the trail and go to the nearest village or city and take a bus, go home. So that was one of the best memories I have from Hong Kong. Honestly,
we could do a whole different episode just for that hike.
Probably.
The story.
Probably. I have to invite the girls as well, but and it started with a tragic story about our tent.
Yeah. It starts with drama and then
ends with
your eyes.
Beauty.
Yeah. It's all worth it in the end.
Does that top the first picture?
It's different. They're both... I cannot say which one is better, but they're different for sure. I love them both, so I'm not going to give them places. I'm not ranking them.
What about the next one?
Wow, I see this picture for the first time in my life. It's now this... It's a very different perspective of Hong Kong. It's the perspective that we're usually used to, I believe. It's amazing. The lights, the water, It's really good. Is that the main part of the city?
I'm looking right now for a different perspective on the same thing. This is Victoria Bay.
Aha.
This is Victoria Bay, and right now, where I'm taking the picture from, this is called the I Bar.
Mm-hmm.
The I Bar basically is a very high place in one of the skyscrapers. They have really nice drinks, very expensive, and you can see the whole Bay Area. It's and this is a real picture. It's not like I edited it.
But you are actually pretty high because I see that the other buildings where people maybe live or do something else are much lower than you, and they're not that short themselves.
Yep, we are very high. I think this was 70th floor.
70.
That's the number in my mind.
Mhm.
Might be a little bit down, a little bit up.
Yeah,
Very high.
and very beautiful.
Honestly, this I have a few favorites. This is one of my
Yeah.
favorite pictures from this.
I could see why.
From the Victoria Bay, from the Victoria Harbor. It's in real life. It's just as stunning. It's the colors are changing in real life, so they're not still. They're moving. So the purple and the pink and the blue, they're going different colors.
Oh.
And I don't know if you notice the building that's in the middle to the left. That's kind
Yeah.
of like crosses
Mhm,
on
yeah.
it. This also changes. Sometimes it's light. Sometimes it's white. Sometimes it's blue. Sometimes red.
Nice.
And that's a very famous building.
Yeah.
And the tallest building that we see is also a very famous building. I think that's the International Trade Center.
What about the lights behind the big
That's
building?
what I was going to say next.
Okay.
So that's the mountain.
Yeah.
That's the mountain. You see these lights. Imagine big buildings on top of the mountain. Not necessarily skyscrapers, but big buildings. And on the right side of the tallest building, which has the white on top, on the right side at the end, at the back, on the mountain, is where Victoria Peak is. Victoria Peak is one of the areas from which you can actually get some of the best views of the harbor.
Okay.
So I'm going to quickly try to find, because yesterday my Google Photos showed me one video from Hong Kong that was just really nice, and I'm gonna spend 1 minute looking for it, otherwise we're gonna skip that.
Yeah.
So the previous picture was one of my favorite pictures from the Victoria Harbor. Now this is from nearby the Victoria Peak during their national holiday, 1st of November, I think. And this is China's national holiday. And they had fireworks over the Victoria Bay.
It's so beautiful.
And I was taking a picture with my camera, but it was so crowded everywhere. So crowded that I barely managed to take this picture. I wasn't looking when I was taking the picture. I took so many pictures, and I'm so lucky that only half of the photo of the camera of another guy is in my picture, not the whole camera. But everyone was taking pictures, and I'm also very happy that the focus is on the right place.
Oh yeah, that would be a shame. But the camera actually is a nice touch because you get like a real perspective of the whole situation there.
And I agree, and I only realized that afterwards.
Right?
Yeah, and then if we go to the next one, and then maybe the next one.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is actually from the Victoria Peak. Not exactly
Nice.
at the peak. You could go a little bit higher as well. But this is on the other side that you're looking at the. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And so this on the left side this time, the high building, that's the International Trade Center, and then you can see also on the right side the building with the X's and the triangular shapes.
From here you get a better perspective of actually how tall they are from this angle.
I guess so.
Yeah, because no, just because you see them from a little more of the bottom of the building, and then
Mm-hmm. And you could also see the water, and the water is basically the zero.
yeah,
And think about that, it's yeah. And maybe then we can go to the other pictures. Um, just close it. Maybe. Yeah, let's see the video. I am not sure. Um, they had amazing fireworks.
oh, I love
I think the fireworks lasted for maybe 15, 20 minutes,
20 minutes. Oh,
like non-stop. Just amazing. Okay, let's go back to the scheduled photos. And okay, yeah, Victoria Harbor was great. Now a little bit back to business. This was, I think, 13th of December, somewhere there. ITI Asia. This is the biggest InsurTech Insights conference. So this company, InsurTech Insights, organized Insurance X Technology conference, where they discuss basically how technology trends in insurance. And the organizers needed some volunteers, and then they reached out on LinkedIn, and on LinkedIn they found me as an international student studying in Hong Kong, and they were like, hey, we are looking for some volunteers. Do you want to come participate? And I had my hands full of a lot of things, but then I thought volunteering at an event at one of the more expensive hotels in Hong Kong sounds like an amazing opportunity.
yeah.
And because I had already started thinking about my internship, I was, of course, considering Allianz as an opportunity. And this conference just fit perfectly. Insurance, and Allianz does insurance. So I'm already kind of being prepared.
Yeah.
Sneak peek to the second part. I did my internship in Allianz. So I went there, and what turned out to happen was that they actually liked me, the InsurTech organizers, and they put me as a team lead for the main stage content volunteers. So I think we were 5 people. Effectively, only 2 were working very closely with the main stage, but effectively it was not effectively, really it was 5 people that we kind of coordinated who goes where and so on and so on. It was really cool because all of a sudden I'm at this big conference
where the real things are happening.
Where and people are there. Like here we see some empty seats in the front row because they were reserved for some of the people that are on stage, and then for some people that are just very important, so that whenever they come, there must be a seat for them. But then the rest is just full. It was a full. This is the biggest conference. After the conference, we had a little party, and the guys actually brought us to a yacht. So after that, it was 2 or 3 day conference. At the last day, they told us, okay, we need to wrap up some things only between ourselves. So volunteers, you just wait here, and then we're going to go together to have some party on the water in the Bay Area.
Okay.
On a yacht. And it was amazing. And then we had some expensive wine and champagne and food there, and it was nice. It was totally worth it.
Amazing opportunities.
Yeah. So this is also what I've brought to show you today.
Yeah.
This is very, very important piece of paper to me. Please be careful. I'm going to tell you what it means in a minute. This is equally important piece of paper for me.
And very thin, actually.
Very thin, very easy to break.
Okay.
Effectively, they're the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you notice difference. Do you notice any difference? No, right? They're the same.
I mean, the
The difference is
characters.
that this one I wrote, and this one actually professional
Yeah, I was going to.
calligrapher wrote.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say that this is a bit more like. I would guess that this is the first time you made it, and this is like after a couple of months. But yeah,
No, this is
okay.
after I think she started doing calligraphy. And actually, on the picture, you can see the girl at the back, at the
Mhm.
left. She's with the whole rope and
Yeah.
traditional calligraphy clothes, I think. Um, she had some cognitive problem, and her parents were trying to kind of help her.
Mhm.
So, okay, maybe you're not great at maths. You're gonna be great at something else. So they didn't
That's a
really
nice
give up. They
approach. Yeah.
tried exploring whether it's music, whether it's writing, whether it's
Mhm.
calligraphy. Calligraphy stuck with her. Kind of by accident it happened, if I remember correctly. But they just had some person suggest, oh, why doesn't she try calligraphy? They didn't really have that in mind.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, might be representing her wrong, but and then it turns out that she's very good at it. So I think since child she's been practicing to be writing like that.
So it's not couple of months
It's
practice.
not
Okay.
couple of
I'm
months.
sorry. Yeah.
This could be better in a couple of months, mine, but this was in maybe 20 tries or
Mhm.
something. I think now I'd
20 tries.
yeah, it's
So
very
it's
hard.
more difficult than it looks.
Yes, because you have on the screen, on the picture, you can see there is this long pen on the bottom right
Yeah.
of the table.
Uh-huh.
This is the brush.
Okay.
And a brush, I'm going to use this Apple Pencil to show you. You hold kind of on top fingers, and then you kind of have it like this. So your fingers are
Uh-huh.
little
Now it
bit,
makes sense why it's such a
and
hard
so
thing. Yeah.
you're always writing like this.
I want to try that. So you hold it like that.
A little bit lower, I think. Yeah. And I think this finger is a little bit less. Yes, I think like that. So that you can also go everywhere with the fingers.
Okay, yeah.
And you try to be straight down. So it's
Mhm.
not like this or this or this or this. It's straight down. Then when you write, it looks nice.
Yeah.
And these are complex characters. So I had some better characters,
Mhm.
which were simpler, but these are rather more complex. So
Thank you.
yeah, that's why I keep both of them, because I really like the gray paper, the yellow,
Mhm.
yellow
Yeah.
brown,
Yellowish.
yellowish paper, but mine is the blue one.
Of course.
And then they made me write my name in or signature in yellow,
Mhm.
which in retrospect didn't go well, but it's okay.
It's nice.
It's a really nice memory.
It's a memory.
Yeah, and then basically we were like 6 people at this calligraphy workshop.
It's something organized from the university.
TPRS.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is something that happened because of the TPRS.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone in TPRS went there, but just the Evan who organizes TPRS. Yeah, we were just talking. Okay, calligraphy would be nice. We were studying Chinese. I was also interested in the characters. Calligraphy just fit right there. And then we had like 6 people maybe doing calligraphy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
This is another perspective of the Bay Area.
The sky has just opened for you.
The sky was amazing.
Yeah.
And later that day, I'm not sure I have the picture right now, but later that day, we went down just where the land ends, and we sat there to watch the sunset.
Beautiful.
It was stunning. But this picture is from the K11 museum,
Which is
or M plus. I forgot which museum it was, but it's an arts museum.
okay.
It's a 6th floor museum. It's an enormous museum, not very expensive if you're a student, but it has nice view to the harbor, and it has nice area underneath to just chill. There is a lot of people down there just picnic, resting. having fun, and it's another perspective. It's really nice area, and the museum was also really nice. I couldn't see all of it. With one friend of mine, a Chinese friend actually, we tried to see the whole museum because we were interested in art. We couldn't. It closed before we could finish it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we didn't want to do another day. There were other things to do.
Nice.
This is the view from the university campus.
Oh.
So what you see on the left and also the far right, the building at the foreground, these are university buildings.
Yeah, this is more like human vibe. The other were just like a lot of things happening and these stunning views. But here you feel a bit more into the picture actually.
It's I know if you see on the right, there is these stairs
Mhm.
that go several times. It's exactly the same place that I'm taking the picture from. It's just symmetrical.
Yeah.
It's just the other side of it. And on the left, the building is the library. So what you see, all the floor, the 4 floors is library.
That's a good library.
That's a big library.
They have one.
Yeah, compared to other
Some places we know.
Library was great. Definitely one of my biggest impressions from the university is
Yeah.
the library. All the students would go there.
Of course, it's the library.
All the students would go there because it's convenient, because we are on campus, living on campus, and because the library is just great.
Mm-hmm.
If the library wasn't as good, we wouldn't go. But just because the library was great, there was internet, there was outlets, there was enough spaces, good organized spaces, silent areas, and a little bit more noisy areas. There was a computer area. People would go there and enjoy. I would also go there. The library was 24/7, so we could go anytime
That's
there.
really good.
And
really good.
If I can't sleep at 1 a.m. or after a club, I can go to the library.
Oh, that's nice.
I did not go to the library, but some people would.
Yeah.
Because in the morning they might have an exam, and sleep is for the week. So they would go party and then they would go revise for the exam.
Honestly, love that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, it's good because if you have some catch up to do, it's
Yeah,
nice.
and you can do it any time of the
Mhm.
evening. It's it's nice.
People should do 24-hour libraries more often. Honestly.
So I did mention 1st of November.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Chinese national holiday. That's what it looks like.
Oh, so
That's what it looks like. That's the metro. That's the entrance of the metro. As you see, there is a lot of people like me taking pictures.
yeah.
It's something not very commonly seen in Hong Kong.
Really, I thought it's like every
It's
day.
not like that all the time. No, definitely not. Like this is, I think I've seen it only once or twice like that.
Mm-hmm.
Only on special occasions.
Okay.
People are busy working, not busy walking. It's a lot of people, yes, but yeah, it was just very busy, very, very busy. Sometimes on the street above the ground, I wouldn't be able to walk. It would be so many people that I cannot cross the street physically. Impossible. Just because so many people. So I had to be creative to find ways to get to the other side on the island. So I go back up to that peak area where I showed you the pictures and the video from.
Yeah.
So this was in the afternoon. It's actually starting evening 6 o'clock. And the other picture is from the evening, maybe 10 o'clock, maybe 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, this picture it just shows. So in the beginning, we have people from Hong Kong, US, Mexico, Dutch, me. I'm going Bulgarian. I'm going left, right.
Mm-hmm.
After that, the girl that's smiling is from South Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have another Dutch guy who is half Chinese. Then we have another South Korean. Then we have a Dutch girl. Then on the left we have a Chinese friend. I'm still in touch with her. I still keep in touch
Nice.
with her. On the right we have German. Paul is his name. On the left we barely see her face. That's Natalie. She's also German. On the right we have again German. On the left I think we have. I think she South Korean. Wait,
It's a pretty international
then
picture.
we have Dutch on the right. Then we have South Korean again. Another German in the center, and then on the
Okay.
left is she's Italian,
Oh,
Francesca.
nice.
And then we had some other people around there, but it was very international. Actually, a lot of Germans and a lot of Dutch, but still Chinese, Hong Kong, South
Yeah.
Korea, Mexico, US, Bulgaria, Italy.
It's nice.
We had some Spanish as well. Yeah, it was great. And this place actually, I think it was Tony Wong. Oh no, that was the bakery. That was the pastry that we shot the movie at.
Okay, yeah.
But I forgot what was this. That's a famous for exchange students to go there. From all universities, all exchange students would go to that restaurant at least once, just because we are practically on the pavement. This is not the restaurant. They just
Yeah, actually,
tables.
you can see it on the photo that
They took 5 tables, or not even tables. They just took the wooden legs of the tables, spread it out, and then put a big flat
piece of
wood on top of them, and that's how we would eat, because it was full. But he wanted to have like 20 people more,
Of course,
because it's great. And what happened was, because can you imagine so many international students ordering different things? We don't know what to order, right?
Yeah.
So how we would eat, that was very funny, and I love that idea. Drinks were for free, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Just because there were so many people.
Yeah.
This guy would go, the owner of the restaurant, he would tell us, okay, what we can do, everyone gives me 100 Hong Kong dollars, and I would serve you everything for everyone to eat. So you'd have everything to try, and I would just keep it coming until you're all fed. And 100 Hong Kong dollars is like maybe 10, or maybe it was 150 Hong Kong dollars per person, which was like 10 euro or something. Yeah. And who is not, and it's
Who is not
great.
doing that?
And it was
it's more than
right.
great.
It was nice. The food was nice.
Mhm.
And the drinks were for free. That's beer. Actually, one of the few places that have okay beer. In
Yeah,
Hong Kong.
for our German and Dutch
audience,
is the
Mhm.
beer. How is it?
There is some Chinese beer,
Mhm.
also maybe some Hong Kong beer, but not my favorite thing.
Okay.
I don't particularly enjoy beer, so I didn't explore that area.
Magnificent.
I just remember that picture. It was not a great day.
It's like a painting. It's really beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly like a painting. The area, actually the timing was, I don't know, maybe 2 in the afternoon, and the weather was awful. The weather was like a little bit rainy, but this place was Liannan Garden, I think was called. Maybe I'm mispronouncing the name, but the garden was a nice, colorful addition to the day, which was not so great.
Yeah.
And this is only one perspective of the whole garden. The garden is really big, and
I could imagine.
and this pagoda is very beautiful.
Pagoda is this building
the
right
little
there?
building there.
Okay.
Usually you'd see pagodas built like that on several levels. So thin in the center and then goes out on several levels. And the Red Bridge. I would recommend
Very
going
nice
to
touch.
that garden.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very close to a very large mall. So,
What was the name again of the garden?
Liannan.
Okay.
But I might not be exactly that one.
Mm-hmm.
I can double check.
Okay.
Yeah. That's another perspective.
More lights. Oh, the water looks extremely flat.
This is this,
Cut.
of course, is an effect of the camera.
Ah, okay.
So,
Because
of course, it's not like that.
Okay,
There
okay,
is
okay.
there is some there is a little bit of waves, but when I put the camera on to take the photo for a longer time,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
it
It smooths.
gives more light
Yeah.
to the picture, and then it smoothens out things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just nice photo. That's another perspective of the Bay Area.
Yeah.
You can see again the building with the triangles and lines, and the other tall building. And also there is a little ferry wheel down the
A
bottom.
what?
A ferry wheel,
Okay.
like the London Eye,
Oh yeah, I
at
see
the
it.
bottom right, which was quite big. So it was
Yeah.
it was really nice. I didn't go up it, but I thought it was a nice thing to have right at the harbor.
Oh,
Yeah. So
Dutch weather. How nice.
Dutch weather in Hong Kong, kind of, yeah. So we have here Evan. He's taking the picture.
Yep.
We have actually these people are from Mexico, Netherlands, Germany. I'm with the blue umbrella, and Mia is next to me. She's from the UK and France. There is one guy who has no umbrella on the left side and has his thumbs up high in the air. He's French.
Yeah.
He is a great guy. We had some Japanese, I think, on the right side. Toby, another German, is also without an umbrella in the back. This was the TPRS class.
Oh.
This was TPRS, and Evan was saying, "Hey guys, give me 100 Hong Kong dollars, and I'll surprise you pleasantly." Although the weather was Dutch weather, it was a really nice walk.
Yeah.
So we really enjoyed it. And Tyrant in the front with the heart T-shirt. He's helping Evan. They're doing TPRS together. Also with Jordan. That was a nice hike. This is a reservoir in Hong Kong.
I guess at least the rain is warmer. It's not like a cold rain, so it doesn't ruin the.
Yeah.
That's
the
good.
rain. Yeah, it's there was a little bit of wind, but as you see, we are with short sleeves. It was not like Dutch weather in the sense that it was cold, rainy, and windy. It was just rainy and a little bit of wind.
Yeah.
But we enjoyed it. It's Hong Kong. Whatever happens in Hong Kong stays in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Okay, this is back to the calligraphy. You see how I'm holding the
Oh yeah.
the brush.
Yeah, you're really trying. I can see you're so concentrated into.
I'm so concentrated, and you can see that the lady next to me, she's standing. She's the master. She's just like casually.
Yeah, she's not even looking at what she's doing at this point.
A little bit smiling.
Yeah. That's a nice photo.
That's from one of my Dutch friends, Anna Bueller, if I pronounce her name correctly. She just has this skill of taking black and white pictures really nicely.
Yeah, I can see.
And I didn't know she was taking a picture. We were coming back from one of the shooting days. I think the guy next to me that's standing and we don't see him. I think it was at his place we were shooting the movie. And then we were going out and we had a nice shooting day. It was successful. And then we just see two cats. And then the cats were like, I want some attention.
Cats.
And then, the other cat somewhere in some other place. But yeah.
Are there a lot of street animals in Hong Kong?
No.
No.
I'm not sure these cats are street animals.
Okay.
Street cats, stray cats, no.
Because for such a big city,
and also, it's not common. Oh, that's something. It's not common to see animals, pets in Hong Kong.
That's good.
Only rich people can have that.
Oh, wait. You don't just mean like
in general.
Street, but in general, people don't have pets.
In general, it's for the rich people.
Okay.
If you have a pet, you are rich.
Wow.
This is you can afford to have a pet.
Yeah.
It's not like something here that we have casually.
Is it
It's expensive, and it's just everyone else is busy making money.
yeah.
And if you're rich, maybe you're also busy, but then you have someone that could take care of the pet.
Okay. Yeah.
That's not the only
That's
reason,
interesting.
but it's not as common as here.
Mm-hmm.
This on the right is where I took the previous picture from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was. Yeah.
And this is during the day. This is the campus. This is actually one of the graduations that was happening. I think it was class of 2023 that was graduating, and this is the main area, open area. It's nice. I think at some point they had a fountain in the middle, so now it's not working. But I think they turn it on at some when it's a little bit warmer, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the pictures.
Speaking of all the colorful and different things that happens to you, what are some cultural shocks that you experienced while in Hong Kong?
Honestly, I don't remember a lot of the culture shocks, just because I really got used to it. One I remember, and that was it didn't make me feel bad, but it was a big culture shock. Was at restaurants, if there is not enough space, so if there is not enough tables, they can accommodate you at a table where someone is already sitting. So I would sometimes just eat, if I'm alone especially, they would just put me on a table where there is one space left. If it's a table for 4, 3 people could be eating together, they put you next to them. Just because you're one and there is one more space. And that's totally normal.
To me, this sounds actually like a great opportunity to meet people. I mean, actually, wait, I have a question. When you sit there at the table, do they pay the slightest attention to you? Because they're so used to it.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the thing. They are so used to it. Because I'm a foreigner, they might pay a little bit more attention to me. But normally, it's just totally normal. So people they might greet you or not. It's nothing special.
I mean, that even makes it better because they don't make a fuss about it.
They don't, but when you don't know it, and then they put you there, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Especially from Europe, where you're I think we are a little bit spoiled in that regard, almost expecting to have a room of our own where we eat. There's like a lot of space in between tables and a lot of space for each individual seat, and on the table a lot of space for big tables. Yeah. There it's like this round table we are talking on right now. It's probably 2 tables there for 4 people.
Wow. Okay.
If not 2 tables, 1.5.
Yeah.
But it's bigger than 1 table for 4 people.
Okay.
And of course, not in every restaurant. There are also more expensive restaurants, but just normal ones, they would have very small tables. Especially when it's for 2 people, that's very small tables. Like one of the tables we use in our classrooms. So one of the tables, the square tables we have in Fontis, in some of the classrooms.
Okay.
That's the size of a 2-person table.
So they don't have a space to spare. Okay.
And they want to accommodate a lot of people because almost everyone is eating out.
Regarding that, is it cheaper to eat out or to eat in?
It's hard for me to answer that because I haven't tried eating in. So I've been eating out almost the whole time.
What's the reason behind that?
I didn't want to cook.
Okay.
And I wanted to try genuine Chinese food. So not something that I came up with. Although me and Rebecca sometimes would cook and I would steal some of the food, pretend to be very helpful. I had the music, at least.
You're that guy that just sits in the wait.
No, I was playing the music and the songs they wanted. And,
okay. That's an important part of the process.
And I brought the games as well.
Okay.
So I contributed. No, but other than that, we would normally eat out.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very expensive. It's maybe for dinner €7.
Like for decent dinner.
Yeah, for decent
good.
dinner when you're with friends and when you split the cost afterwards. If you're alone, it might be a little bit more expensive because you want to try some stuff
Mm-hmm.
and yeah. But otherwise, it's yeah.
What was your favorite traditional food that you tried there that just stuck with you?
Um, of course, dumplings. Dumplings are just amazing. I did not know what to expect before I tried them. And I have to say that in Hong Kong, dumplings are amazing. But in Shanghai, dumplings, they are divine. Shanghai
Okay,
dumplings.
I could almost taste them the way that you said it.
Yeah, Shanghai dumplings, and there is crab dumplings.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there is one Michelin restaurant in Shanghai, which is about just dumplings, just a dumplings restaurant. They're quite expensive, but they're amazing.
Yeah.
I could be eating every single day dumplings. Another thing is, so I guess it's very easy to prepare, and I could prepare it myself, but it's not lettuce, but it's just a vegetable which is steamed, and they prepare it in some oil,
Mm-hmm.
and then they serve it to you. And I just really like that because
Yeah.
they prepare it with some. I think they used chicken soup steam to
Mm-hmm.
steam it, and I don't know, it
That
just
has a
adds a
nice
nice
tone. Yeah,
flavor.
yeah.
I
Brings a
really
nice
love
touch.
that. Rice is great. Noodles are great. Chicken is great. Peking duck
Mm-hmm.
is.
Is the meat more expensive there because in Europe is something?
Not significantly.
Okay.
It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to say. One
Feel free.
one of the most common dishes I was having was actually a Japanese ramen. So there was a near the university, 1 or 2 stops away with the
Mm-hmm.
bus. There is a food street, and you could get a pizza there. You could get a lot of things, and I chose to get the ramen. The ramen there, it was expensive. It was maybe around 8-10 euros for one ramen, but it was great.
You mentioned just now pizza.
Hmm.
If I go there and I somehow happen to not like the food that they serve, is it hard to find something more European like?
It's very hard not to find something you
Uh-huh.
like.
Okay.
There is so many different things. There is,
That's good.
but yes, there is also more European, but you have to be prepared to pay a little bit extra.
Mm-hmm.
For one of the birthdays of one of the Korean girls, we went to a really nice restaurant, and there we ate a nice steak.
Mm-hmm.
So it was something like amazing. Even in Europe, this would be a really, really nice steak. And I consider that more European than Asian because it's just more expensive. In Asia, they do a lot of rice and a little bit cheaper foods. But you can find, yes, pizza is not bad. You have to be careful with which pizza places you go to because some are nice, others are not so great. But after the first or second try, you're usually going to find something that works for you.
That's good. So if I'm more picky, I could always find something for me as well.
Yeah.
Did you had any cultural shocks regarding the locals there? I'm really curious to hear how the locals behave.
I don't know if it's considered a cultural shock, but they were very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're very trade oriented. So, for
Meaning?
example, they would be very helpful in the sense that when I want to go somewhere, there is normally easy to find someone who can help me,
Mm-hmm.
and they would offer help. But for example, this thing that I got
Yeah,
for
I was
my
going to ask you
AirPods,
about that.
this is from the biggest market in Hong Kong, the ladies market it's called.
Mm-hmm.
yes, there is a lot of ladies there, but I think it's historically it used to be the places for ladies to go to, and that's why where it got for its name from. Now it's much more mixed, but the ladies market has everything. It
So
has food.
ladies as in a lady.
Yes,
Okay.
you're a lady, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
ladies.
yeah.
Um, they have everything. They have food, they have clothes, they have bags, they have little souvenirs,
That's nice.
they have pictures, they have paintings, they
Mhm.
have flip flops, they have iPhone cases, they have backpacks. I don't know what they don't have.
Do do they sell vegetables or something like that?
I think at one point, at one place of the market, yes.
Okay. Are there any food markets like the ones we're used to see here in Saturdays, for example?
Yes, there are food markets, but they're not only Saturday.
That's nice, yeah.
They're not only Saturday, and there is a fish market which is less frequent.
Mm-hmm.
So it may be every Saturday. I didn't go to the fish market.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that I would recommend to anyone who hasn't been, just because they can explore it and see for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
There are some fish markets which are harder to get to, but are nicer. And the fish is fresh and it's nice. And I've heard from friends that's really nice place. I just couldn't find the time to go there.
Yeah,
But they could also prepare the fish there, as far as I know, and then you can just try it, and it's nice meal, nice experience.
that's good. You also said, I remember now, Hong Kong and China are two different places. Can you give me an example of difference between the both? Where is the line?
Okay, there are many lines. One example: Chinese people are not used to Google, YouTube, Googling. This verb is in Western dictionaries and Hong Kong as well, but it's not in Chinese dictionary. To Google something is not a thing. Why?
Really?
Because there is no Google there. It's forbidden. You cannot access Google from Chinese network. You can use a VPN and then access Google, but and because that's not a thing, they use totally different services. They
Mm-hmm.
have internet, they have a lot of great searches, but they use totally different service.
Mm-hmm.
They have super apps, which is not so common in Hong Kong, although it's not, for example, WeChat is kind of a super app, because in a super app you can do anything you want. In a WeChat, usually we chat with each other.
Uh-huh.
It's like
Okay,
a
yeah.
messenger,
Yeah.
but you can also buy tickets in WeChat
Or
for
like WhatsApp,
concerts,
for
like
example.
WhatsApp, yes.
Yeah, because
But you can also then send money to each other, buy tickets, order clothes, order a taxi, schedule a taxi to take you to the airport. You can do a lot of things.
that's
And they have a few
interesting.
of those. Alipay, for example, that's an app.
Mm-hmm.
You can also order. I was ordering taxis from my Alipay
Nice.
app just because it worked great.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is that in that's something I noticed because I was studying Cantonese and I was hearing also a lot of Mandarin. Cantonese people, I think, are a little bit more laid back. So I don't think it's necessarily something that everyone is feeling, but for me, they were a little bit less stressed. So when they speak, they would be like, okay, la. And la signifies something like it's okay, it's good, positive note. That's the notation it gives. So, and they have that in Mandarin as well, but just it doesn't sound the same way to me.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the Hong Kong people, just because of the language, were a bit more laid back, relaxed, and positive in that regard.
Hong Kong. Wonderful experience. But unfortunately, every wonderful experience sooner or later comes to an end. So now I want to discuss the end. How did you feel when you knew that the end was approaching?
I was both very excited and very sad. I was very excited because I was going to do a Southeast Asia trip.
Mm-hmm.
So early December, I had already planned that. So late December, I would have first gone to Vietnam alone, then met with Mia, then together we'd go through Cambodia and Thailand to China to meet Rebecca. And in China, we met some other Chinese friends, and then we traveled a little bit around. Then I went alone again to travel to some great places. And then I would go back for 2 days in Hong Kong, which I'll tell you in a bit about. And then I would leave to Europe for my internship.
Mm-hmm.
So in December, kind of early December, I already had found my internship in Allianz, and it was starting February. So I had 1 month to travel around, basically from mid December to mid January, and then I had 1 week before my internship started um, to kind of settle down in a new city. It was very interesting experience to find accommodation and internship, but how I felt for leaving Hong Kong was very sad because I just started getting the hang of it,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to leave. If I could, and I knew it back then, I know it now. If I could, I would have stayed the whole year. Just because, not because the second, I think for Hong Kong minors, the best time is to do it in the autumn semester, because in the spring semester it gets so hot. I think in May, the humidity was 100%.
Oof.
People were sliding indoors. So it's like a ice rink without ice.
Mm.
I've seen pictures of that. I've seen videos of that. I know people who are there and have experienced it. Not nice experience. Yet I would still have preferred to stay whole year
Mm.
and actually get the most of Hong Kong before leaving. I don't regret leaving because I had a nice experience in Munich, but I felt very sad. And then after I came back from my trip in Southeast Asia, so these 2 days that I mentioned earlier, I was just a meeting with friends. I didn't normally have breakfasts, but to compensate for that, I normally would have 2 or 3 lunches with different friend groups, and then at least 2 dinners. So it means I go to one dinner with some friends,
Yeah,
early dinner, for example, and then I go to another
you
with some
had
others.
you had a tight schedule.
I had a very tight schedule. In the mornings, I would actually prepare my luggage to go home. So I didn't have enough space, and I had to prepare it nevertheless in 2 days,
Mm-hmm.
just because I wanted to go out with friends and then just see them. I didn't care about. I could have thrown out the whole luggage. Obviously, I couldn't have, but I could have if it meant being with my friends or preparing or packing my stuff. Half of it was already packed before I went, but then when I came back from the trip, I had some stuff that I had to put in places. But in these 2 days, it was very hard. It was 2 of my best days in Hong Kong, and also the saddest days. I was with great friends. We had great conversations, deep conversations about
Mm-hmm.
future, about values, about what do we like, what we're going to do, plans, and how nice experience we had. And it was about to end. So it was a little bit sad, but it was also optimistic because we were all international. Um, my grandmother always called me a child of the world, just because I traveled to a lot of places, and I think that's what we were in these 2 days. So the people I met there, they were also children of the world, traveling around, wanting to go all over the world and having experiences. So optimistic because I think, are going to meet again, and we're going to have fun again.
So Hong Kong was like this little meet point for all the children of the world, and then let's see what's the next point.
Exactly.
That's nice. What were your thoughts at that time?
In these 2 days,
Yeah.
how very grateful I am for this experience. That was predominantly my thought. How very very grateful I am to have been in Hong Kong to have made the right choice. If I could, I would do it all over again. And I was just very happy. I was very happy. Although I was sad as well, I was very happy. There were no feelings missing in me. It was just a lot of feelings, and they are all justified.
How hard was it to leave?
Let me put it that way. The dinner I had before my flight was in the evening. It was at 11 p.m. The dinner I had was at around 8 p.m. It was so great that I thought, oh, maybe skip a flight. What happened was that my friends had to drive me to the airport. So they had to drive me there. They had to say, I think, recently Evan had birthday. And on his stories on Instagram, he posted that we said goodbye 3 times. Actually, it was 4 times. Because the 3 times we said was one was during the day. We didn't know if I'm going to go to the dinner or not. Then I said, okay, I'm going to come to the dinner, but for a little bit, because afterwards I have to take a train or the metro and go to the airport. And then we said goodbye at the dinner. It was like a goodbye dinner, and then we had to say goodbye at the entrance of the airport. So that was the 3rd time we said goodbye. And I went in and I gave my luggage to the airlines. And then they surprised me and they were behind me. And that was the 4th time we had to say goodbye. We went to McDonald's actually in the airport. They surprised me because their car had a flat tire. So the driver, which was I think Tyrant, he went alone so that it's less heavy, the car, so that he can drive with a flat tire for a little bit before he can go and change it. He didn't have a spare one. And then they waited for me just before I had to go through security check, which was for another half an hour, maybe an hour.
That's nice.
And so we said goodbye 4 times. That's how hard it was. And then in the plane, I couldn't sleep. 10 hours flight. I could not sleep. I was just thinking, oh my God.
What did just happen for the past 6 months?
Exactly. I was just reflecting on everything that happened and how glad I was to have met me and Rebecca, to have met my Chinese friends, the Hong Kong friends, to have done the TPRS. I was just extremely grateful for everything that was happening. Very sad that it ended because I knew at that point it's over. That's it. Maybe I'll never see Hong Kong again. I want to. I certainly want to, but
you
who
could
knows?
never know. Yeah,
You could never know. It's a tough moment in life, and maybe that's thing for you. If you want to go to a great place, be prepared for the downfall. In the beginning, it's like a little bit ambiguous. It's a little bit, oh, what's going on? Not sure. And then at some point, if you're socializing, if you have the goal to socialize, you meet a lot of friends, a lot of people, you make great connections. And at some point, your way is just totally different than theirs. And then you have to separate. And then it's tough. And then you learn. And then you grow like that. So I learned about myself so much more just from these 10 hours than from the first 2 years in Fondis.
What did you learn about yourself?
So first of all, I taught myself to be able to spend time alone. I learned I hate spending time alone. I learned I really love exploring, and I never regretted exploring, but it's very hard for me to go out and explore. So the first step is harder for me than doing it to the end if I have already started it. And at the same time, the initiative is easy for me. So I'm easy to initiate it, but actually to start it is a little bit hard. Um, I actually have learned a lot. I learned that I love hiking. I knew I liked it, but now I know I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And this could be seen from whatever I did afterwards. I never stopped hiking afterwards.
You learn some things about yourself. What did you learn about the world?
I first learned how naive I was, and I think in general Europe is that we are the best place in the world. Maybe we are, but I think we're a bit naive to think that so strongly.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because when I went there, I was expecting, not a third world country, but I was expecting less developed country, less developed as infrastructure, as infrastructure not only uh, also the internet and the network and everything. I think Europe is underdeveloped. I think Asia, East Asia, and Southeast Asia especially is so much more developed. Especially China, infrastructure in China is very well developed. In Hong Kong, it's amazing. They're actually physical constructions that I didn't think possible before I saw them. So you have on one level highway, underneath you have a mall, underneath you have pedestrian, underneath you have the metro. At some point you have I don't know, rail. It's and this happens in the same area, the same place. It's very developed, very developed.
Does it give a sense of dystopia?
What do you mean with that?
Like a mall under the highway, buildings.
Okay, this is just an example. It's not really a
Mhm.
mall under the highway, but the real example is through the mall there was the MTR going. So it
Mhm.
was such a big mall that the metro, the underground, was going through the mall.
Okay.
It's I wouldn't say dystopia no, not really, but it just gave me an idea that the Western world was um, a little bit naive. The Eastern world is not doing bad. They are not worse than us. They are not less than us. They're great, and there is so much we can learn from them if only we wanted. But I think we don't want to. I think we're a little bit too proud in a way. Something I saw, and I realized it only much later afterwards, is that the Eastern world are trying a little bit to copy the Western world because, I don't know, something is making them want to be like us. But I don't think we're doing great, and what they copy cannot be better than what we are doing. Um, so they're going to copy something that's not great,
Mhm.
and that's not great. That's not nice. They have so much more energy than us. As I said, the world there is very fast. They're doing a lot of things. They're developing much quicker. Um, they have a lot of energy there, and they're copying us. And I don't think that's nice.
They develop faster on what levels? Like technological?
Yes.
How do they develop on I cannot I'm not sure if I can say it like that, but like the the human level, the human factor.
Okay, I'll give you the example for both. I'm going first to give example for the technological, and then I'll discuss the second, the human. For technological, in China, they have a maglev train, which means magnetic levitation.
Yeah.
Which means they have a train that is not on rails and is therefore much quicker because there is less resistance.
Mm-hmm.
It's much quicker to go from one place to another. If we had maglev train from north of Germany to Munich, from Berlin to Munich, it would be such a great thing because people hop on in Berlin, maybe stop at some points along the way, and go off in Munich in a few hours, in 3 hours. It's extremely fast
Mhm.
and it's very silent. There is nothing to cause noise. Maybe a little bit the air because it's very fast, so it cuts the air. But um, we don't have that. I know we've tried to have it, but then we gave up, or there was another scheme why we didn't develop it further. Um, I know in Germany they tried it and there was some incident that happened. I'm pretty sure in China there was an incident as well that happened. And now they still have it. They didn't stop the whole project. And I rode it. Everyone rides it every day. Uh, every day, long kilometers. Um, it works and it's safe. At least I never ever felt not safe in that train. Um, they also have that in little villages. So one of the examples is in Shanghai, between the airport and the city center. That's long distance. I think in 8 minutes is the distance from the airport to the center of the city. In Eindhoven with the bus, it's like 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the maglev train, it's going to be 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
2 minutes. Airport, maglev train comes. You maybe wait for 10 minutes for the maglev train, and you're twice as fast. And that's just Eindhoven. If you see like other cities where it's even further away or where the traffic is even bigger, like the like London, it's we are underdeveloped. And then you ask the human factor.
Yeah.
I don't know how to debate that and discuss that very well because it's such a broad topic. I think in China they're so much more. In China, this time I mean also Hong Kong, so much more community oriented. So they like helping each other and like what's good for all of us is the better kind of philosophy, utilitarian a little bit. Not always, but a little bit like that. Whereas here we are a lot more individual, especially in Western Europe and Northwestern Europe, Netherlands, a little bit Germany. But I see a lot of that in the Netherlands. We don't really care to look at anyone else. We're like, oh no, whatever they want, they can do. Sure, they can do whatever they want, but why should we not interact with them and look at that and do it together? Maybe offer some help, even if they didn't ask for it. Maybe that's not great, but I think at the end of the day, that adds to the human factor. Which is humans are social animals. And if we are not social, then we're not very human. Although there is, I guess there is the problem with working in China.
Mm-hmm.
So in Hong Kong, it's 6 days work week, not 5.
Yeah.
I know in Australia, they're now testing the 4-day work week.
That sounds nice.
So there is a big difference between the East Asia and the Western or Western developed countries. I give Australia as an example, but in Europe we also discuss that, the 4-day work week. I think we see that also in and just in general, I think work less than them, a lot less. And this has to add to that they have more energy than us. So they work more. And so their efforts are obviously, you see better outcomes or bigger outcomes. Maybe not better, but at least bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I know the human factor, people in China, and especially when you're traveling, they're so nice to foreigners, especially. They're nice to each other, but also to foreigners. They're very kind. I have never seen so kind people when I'm traveling. Very kind. Ladies would just offer help. They don't know English, but they would still offer help.
Yeah.
I don't know Chinese, and they would still help.
That's nice.
It's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't say everything's perfect there. It's not. But I think we were a little bit naive. I was, and my perspective is that Europe in general is a little bit naive.
you have a change in your perception of the world. Do you have do you find a change in yourself except for your views for the world?
Yes, I started thinking much more critically,
Mm-hmm.
and I started understanding how little I know, because the world is such a great place. Um, I started believing the world is a great place, although I see a lot of not nice things. I still think the world is a great place, and I believe that the times I'm living in are amazing. There is so much opportunity, and I know this is a little bit cliche, um, but I realized it. It's not just that I know it, but I've seen it. So I've worked in Hong Kong during my minor, which is technically not allowed, but I was a volunteer. Then I was also event photographer. So I actually managed to find something to develop, not only academically, but also professionally. I was able to travel alone in countries where that is, someone would say, risky,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you go to Cambodia, uh, I don't know what your view of Cambodia is right now, but I thought it was like a savage place before I went there, and it's not.
That's nice.
And yeah, it's I don't know. I think I also grew up. Yeah,
How does it feel to be back?
I think it feels nice.
Mhm.
I'm back. I like it. Um, of course, I miss it. It was a great experience. Being back as a student is great. And I started appreciating a little bit that I'm student. Before I was thinking, okay, when I'm going to, start working. No, being a student is amazing. Being a student is amazing.
It is.
So I feel good. I don't feel bad. Um, I'm excited now. I'm excited for what's coming next. And yeah, when I was back in, well, not back in Munich, but when I was back from Asia to Europe, I directly went to Munich where my internship took place. And there it was very bad. It was very bad. For a week, I couldn't recover.
Mm-hmm.
For the next week, I didn't know where I was because the internship started and it was very intense in the beginning. I didn't know where I was. I didn't feel great. It was awful time of the year. Such a great place to be, and then go back to Europe, which is, and Munich is one of the great places in Europe. By the end of the internship, I started enjoying it, but I wasn't feeling great. I was back from an amazing experience, and in life there is the ups, and the higher I go, the lower I fall.
Yeah,
It's
the ups and downs.
so yeah. It's great. Now it's great, but in the beginning it wasn't great. And I still do it all over again if I could. Totally worth it. Totally.
I guess that's part of the reverse culture shock.
I don't know. It's very hard to judge reverse culture shock. Oh, maybe one great example in Munich. I was used to. I've never been to Munich before.
Mm-hmm.
My internship. When I got there, I was expecting, of course, a lot of German signs, for example. When I got to the U-Bahn, I couldn't really understand which way I should go. In China, it's so easy.
Yeah.
Everything is not, even though it's in Chinese, I don't need to know Chinese to know how I should get to where I'm going.
Imagine.
In Germany, I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
It was very hard. I needed maybe 10 minutes just to calm down. Okay, go back to Europe. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your minor experience. the stories, the pictures, our last minutes of this conversation. Thank you for all that. You mentioned some things about your internship, which we are going to discuss in a second,
Thank you for listening.
of course.